We're gonna start in a couple minutes. Yep. Whew. Gonna be starting in a couple minutes.
Find any value in that,
Okay.
Send professional.
All right, we're gonna start. We're gonna start reacting now to that feminist. She said that she's supposedly have a high IQ of 150 or whatever. Yeah, also there's a very quit here. So let's see how it goes. Let's start reacting. Make sure you guys like the live stream, that way it can be reached to more people. Let's jump in.
Edition of the Whatever.
Wire. There you go.
Welcome to a debate edition of the Whatever podcast. We're coming to you live from Santa Barbara, California. I'm your host and moderator, Brian Atlas. A few quick announcements before the show begins. This podcast is viewer supported, heavy YouTube demonetization. So please consider donating through Streamlabs instead of super chatting, as YouTube takes a brutal 30% cut. That's streamlabs.com/whatever. Link is in the description. We prioritize messages that are made via Streamlabs. To read a message is $99 and up. We're going to read those in batches at various breaks throughout the debate. There will be no instant TTS. Now, if you want to just tip and have 100% of your contribution go towards us, no platform fees, no cut, you can via Venmo or Cash App. That's Whatever Pod on both, links in the description. We're also live on Twitch right now. Pull up another tab. Go to twitch.tv/whatever. Drop us a follow and a Prime sub if you have one. Without further ado, I will introduce our two guests. I'm joined today by Andrew Wilson, host of The Crucible. He's a blood sports debater and political commentator. Also joining us today is Kylie Brewer. She's an author, content creator, and educator. She received bachelor degrees in psychology and creative writing from Ivy League school, Brown University. She plans to pursue a graduate degree in public policy.
She's already nervous.
She's also a self-described leftist, feminist, anti-racist, LGBTQ activist. The topic today is feminism. You will each have up to a 10-minute opening statement, and then the rest of the show will just be open conversation with some prompt changes and breaks for messages from the audience, followed by each of you having a closing statement. Kylie, you're going to go first. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name's Kylie. I just wanted to start by saying a little bit about what I stand for, which is just feminism generally. And I would want to say that feminism is a crucial movement, both in the United States and across the world. Feminism is defined as advocating for gender equality and challenging the structures of power that perpetuate discrimination and violence against women. It is not an attack on men. Rather, it is a call for an equal and just society. In the U.S., despite progress, women face systemic inequalities, which means that gender inequality is rooted in many of the systems that we see today. For instance, women in the U.S. earn 82 cents for every dollar that a man makes, and black women earn just 63 cents.
You have to throw that in, huh?
There are three reasons.
You have to throw that racial part right there in the argument. You have to, right? You have to.
Potentially that this could be the case, which is, I would say that we do not value female labor enough in this country. And there's a phenomenon called male flight, which is typically when a field becomes very female dominated, 50 to 60% women. Men typically begin to leave that field and the pay rate for women drops. So that might be some sort of implicit phenomenon happening, as well as domestic labor is unpaid, which is when women typically take on more of the child rearing in homes, and obviously that is not something that is compensated. And for women who do go to work and raise kids, there's inadequate child support, meaning we often miss out on promotions or other major opportunities in the career because we are not supported in that way. So this all could explain that economic inequality. Which brings me to, according to the World Economic Forum, it's going to take roughly 300 years to close the gender gap for both economic and political empowerment for women. In countries like Afghanistan, women still battle for access to education and healthcare, as well as personal freedoms. In some places, if they open the door without being covered, they may be beaten or arrested. Which brings me to this. The home is the most dangerous place for women, according to the United Nations. The home, the place where we should all feel safe. 6 women are killed every hour around the world by people they know. Now, here are some other very depressing statistics. 1 in 3 women experience violence at the hands of a man in their lifetime, whether that's physical or SA. And that's according to the World Health Organization. 50% of women who were unalived in 2017 were killed by an intimate partner violence. It's according to the United Nations. 650 million women were married before the age of 18. This is according to UNICEF, meaning they became child brides, often against their will. Now, the final statistic is that 71% of human trafficking victims are women and girls. This is not to negate the importance of male victims and standing up for their rights as well, just to point out a general pattern in the fact that women are typically overlooked as well as overrepresented in being victims of crimes. Now, there's also a general tendency to blame women for our oppression, that we make less because our work is less important, or because we choose to work in fields that don't pay as much money, or that we were SA'd because of the clothes we were wearing, or that we were unalived because we chose to marry the wrong man. But none of these things are true, and they are rooted in really harmful misconceptions about what the feminist movement stands for. I'm sure you all are also expecting me to be very angry today, and I hope that I won't be, but I'm truly interested in further.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? The fact that she had to say that statement, if we know what happened. And she just met the typical stereotype. It's just to show you that females develop a good way to communicate the perceived reality, but their actions are most of the time contradictory of how they really act. Isn't that interesting?
The feminist cause, promoting equality, even if it means sometimes talking to people who don't agree with me. And finally, I just would like to say that men can be feminists, and they're very important for the feminist movement, for seeking equal rights around the world. And we strive to combat hate, not promote it. for equal rights for all. And by definition, feminism is about the belief in social, economic, and political equality of the sexes, not about female supremacy or anything like that. And I hope to debunk some of the myths that people think about feminists today and show that it is a very important cause, not just globally, but in the US and in the West.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Kylie, thank you very much for your opening statement. Andrew, if you'd like to give yours now.
Yeah, just a second. Let me back up here. There's one thing I wanted to address right in my opening. I've been going through Kylie's videos, and she knows so much which is not so. This is a big bait and switch. This happens often. I think I pointed this out to the Whatever podcast many times, especially when it comes to sociology and psychology, how often they are wrong. And here's how they're wrong most often. What they do is they take studies which are recently published, they point to those data sets and say, because this is right now the most current data set we have, it's true, and then operate as though those things are in reality true when they're not. Kinsey says, for instance, on gender quotas, according to, and she cites this, and many feminists cite this.
My name is, are you talking about?
Oh,
the Kinsey study.
right here, guys. This is what I was telling you guys yesterday. Right here. Notice Andrew didn't say anything during her opening statement. Look at how she's writing. She's writing very aggressively, right? She's portraying something like, I'm in this for real kind of a thing, right? But notice
And
it.
she cites this, and many feminists cite this.
My name is,
2015.
are you talking about?
She wanted to correct Andrew. My name is whatever. She wanted to correct Andrew right away. This is simply to just get those clips for their YouTube channel or whatever, or their TikTok. To show those, sisterhood that, hey, I'm gonna really kick it to the man,
The Kinsey study.
Oh,
I'm
the Kinsey
sorry.
study,
Yeah,
thank
yeah. The Kinsey study, which you cite, right? And most feminists cite the Kinsey study, has been debunked for years. I don't know why feminists
study is this?
continue. Hang on,
Wait,
it's my
just-
opening statement.
You'll have a chance to
Yeah.
cross-examine him. Just allow him to
So
finish his
let me
opening
walk you
statement.
through this. Earlier this week, journalist Christopher Brunette flagged a paper in a March 2024 issue of Econ Journal Watch, a biannual
There you go with the
publication
phone.
edited by
There you
George
go with the
Mason
phone.
economist Daniel Klein, that publishes articles, links, responses to other economist errors. The paper, written by accounting professor Jeremiah Green of Texas A&M and John R.M. Hand of the University of North Carolina, addressed the first of three McKinsey 4-installment series of diversity studies. Green and Hand sought to test the replicability of McKinsey's findings. Guess what they found, guys? Could another set of researchers using the same data come to the same conclusions? Since McKinsey refused to turn over its numbers, Green and Hand had to reverse engineer the firm's 2015, 18, and 20 data sets. The results were startling. Green and Hand couldn't replicate the results of McKinsey's first three studies, which monitored the profitability of the executive demographics of an undisclosed group of S&P 500 firms claiming to have found a positive correlation between diverse leadership and the firm's performance. We do not find a statistical significant positive correlation between McKinsey's measures of the racial ethnic diversity of executive terms of firms as measured in December 2019, Green and Hand reported, and either the likelihood of financial outperformance in 15-19. So to give you a quick summary, the study seems to show its most likely correlation and not causation, meaning companies were already doing very financially well, and they have the luxury to mess around with diversity quotas and initiatives. In addition, the data from the 2024 paper was unable to replicate any of the older McKinsey studies, any of them. That should tell you something. So that's a very recent data set, right? Why don't any of the psychologists ever go with the recent data set? Well, the reason they don't go with it is because it doesn't affirm their nonsensical worldviews. That's why they don't go with them, ever. You'll find this very common in sociology and in psychology, which suffer from the replication crisis. Somewhere around 60% of their findings cannot be replicated, are not to be trusted. Psychology is the study of the mind. The scientific views of psychology are only done through data collection, but it has to be interpreted. This is amazing.
This is the opening statement, but she cannot help. She cannot help to just give you a lot of body language, guys.
major problem. So many feminists will tell you so many studies, and luckily I have all of the ones to refute all of my opponent's studies today.
Hey, look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Look
All
at
of
that!
the ones to refute all of my opponent's
She cannot
studies
help it, guys.
today.
She can't.
Because what happens is they have a biased worldview and they want the data set to correlate with the worldview rather than wanting to tell you what the actual truth is. The truth is that a bunch of S&P 500 companies who are very rich were already doing really well. And for the purposes of publicity, they decided that they were going to start doing a bunch of DEI hires and ethnic hires and this type of thing. And they decided that the correlation, they made the correlation causation error. That's it. You'll find this over and over again, I'm sure, as we go through this debate, as we go through the numbers, especially when it comes to the abuse of women, especially when it comes to just how useful women are. We talk about domesticated labor. What a joke. You believe that women should be paid some type of domestic wage. However, it's skilled labor in the home, which keeps the home running. It's always going to be paid way more than domestic labor because it's more worthwhile than domestic labor. Simple. So with that, I'll finish my opening statement. I can't wait to dive right into this.
Okay, so Kylie, it sounded like you maybe had some pushback you wanted to give on something Andrew said there.
Yeah, so I very briefly referenced the McKinsey study, and McKinsey & Company's Women in the Workplace study, by the way, is what he's referring to. But it's actually, if you go and look it up, it's generally considered accurate and comprehensive in its findings. So I have quite literally no idea what my opponent is talking about, as well as the fact that this is a red herring fallacy of just, oh, this is wrong and my opponent is wrong for the following reasons.
How's that a red herring?
Because you're not actually acknowledging any of the information that I said.
I refuted the information.
I didn't even hardly talk about that.
I have refutations to your video. Okay. I have your video right here. And you start by saying the largest comprehensive study, the Kinsey study.
Which one are you talking about?
I'll play it for you. Give me a second here.
Okay. Well, I think we should stick to what we're talking about today.
We're talking about all of this today. So
well, I would like you to be less hostile to me, first of all, because I think we should just have a general discussion.
Stop whining. We're doing a debate.
Stop whining.
So
I'm not going to give you the reaction that I know you're looking for.
Yeah. So women are better leaders than most. You agree?
Yes. I was looking at that video. Yeah. That's like one of the ones that.
And you cite which study?
Oh, yeah, the one that I'm talking about now. But I didn't reference that in my opening at all. So I think the people in the audience, if they had any sort of common sense following along, they'd be like, what is he talking about? Kylie didn't mention that, which I didn't.
But the thing is like this is a current core part of your worldview and belief, and you make propaganda videos about it, even though it's completely uninformed.
That women are better leaders. I think that is a subjective opinion. None of the statistics and facts that I gave previously are objective opinions, like the fact that women didn't have the right to vote until 1920. Women couldn't open a bank account in the United States until 1974.
When did men get the right to vote?
Oh, okay, I know this is exactly what you were talking about. This is what you're known for, is like getting people on a technicality that we don't historically know. But the answer to that is no. The answer to that
the answer is that's no.
No, the answer to that is the fact that in 1920 everyone was given the right to vote, but there were still barriers to vote for people of color.
When did men get the right to vote?
The right to vote was guaranteed to all people in 1920, according to the 19th Amendment.
Yeah, before 1920, were all men allowed to vote?
No.
Okay, great.
They weren't.
And then even when men's
because
suffrage
of white
was passed,
supremacy and because our system was not founded equally.
Are you aware that men only got any rights to vote about a decade, roughly, before women?
That is not true. Men have been the founding fathers were all men, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
What does that have to do with the right to vote?
The right to vote was historically.
Guys, I'm telling you, she just came to this debate just to give her snippet, man. That's what. She wants to get her own one-liners and all this stuff, and that way you can go back to the sister who say, "See, I told that white man that, this and that in his face," kind of a thing. What this founding father being white has to do with this debate? Think about it, guys. What? Crazy. This is gonna go down the rail quick, guys.
Withheld from men of color. It was a white.
It was also withheld from.
And notice also I have to mention this. When you guys go to this is the good part. Go to YouTube and look for the 19th Amendment, right? And you will see a lot of correlation between white feminists and African Americans. You're gonna see a lot of correlation on purpose.
historically withheld from men of color. It was a white.
It was also withheld from
Listen to
the
me.
general population.
Do not cut me off.
There we
Do
go.
not cut me off. I am in the middle of speaking.
I don't care if you're in the
The
middle of
right-
speaking. You're in the middle of a
Policing, yeah.
debate.
The right to vote.
You don't
was-
have your
Policing.
TikTok mute button, sweetheart.
There we go.
I will
If we
not be
can-
speaking anymore until you have a
look.
conversation with me.
Sure.
Well, look,
Mute
So
button.
bad, man.
if we can, for both people, if we can allow each other to
And this is what my females do, man. They just want to control everything. Right now, she just wants to control the environment because she feels insecure. Right here. This right here was already planned. She wanted to do this. She wanted to just tell Andrew, you're not going to bully me. Based on her, right? I don't know. Based on her. She just wanted to tell Andrew and Brian, hey man, I own this place. You're going to do whatever the hell I tell you to do. I'm going to control the environment. But then what is going to happen is slowly she's going to realize she cannot control the environment. She's not in her little tech talk, pressing the mute button and say her one-liners. She has no control.
finish. Even if you want
Hey,
to
shout
jump
out to
in,
Kino.
just let
What's
the
up,
other
man?
person finish speaking. If somebody's going on a monologue and they're filibustering, I'll try to get them to wrap up. But just if they're making a point, just try to let them finish.
No, I did not go to school for 4 years and build a platform to be talked to like this. So I will be walking away
And
from
this
the
is ego. This is ego right here.
microphone right
Ego.
now, and I would encourage you to get your guest under control. I'm going to take 2 minutes so you can ask him questions if you'd like, and I will be right back.
Because you run the show.
I just won't be back. And we already
I don't give a shit. What do I care? I'm here to have a debate, not listen to your whining. Do you want to have a debate or not?
all right, I'm not going to be talked to like this.
Well,
Imagine
do you
being
want to
the
just take a
wife of this person, man.
2-minute breather? You want to take a 2-minute breather?
This is feminism? You're the strong woman? You're the strong woman? Really? Whew, strong woman. I will not be talked to. Like what? What did I even say?
She wanted it this,
know, I
guys.
would,
She wanted it this. She wanted it.
I will not be talked to like that. Yeah, you will. What are you talking about? It's a debate.
Maybe we can try to stick to.
There's been some really strong feminist women in that chair who have debated with me. Just not this one.
Yeah. Although I think maybe for the sake of the ensuring that the debate happens, maybe we can just so we get the debate. So the debate happens. Maybe.
Yeah, and a lot of people were giving Brian a lot of shiitakes for this. Listen, guys, Brian has a business. He has, Andrew's here. He spent some money in just making sure these people stay in a hotel. They're treating well. He at least needs to break even, guys. You have to understand this. I understand he's not in the best position currently, like making millions of dollars per episode. But, at least he has to try to make the debate happen. That's what is going on.
What am I supposed to do? I'm in the middle of a debate. Am I supposed to worry about tone policing and this and that because I have points and refutations which may hurt people's feelings?
Well, I think she overreacted a little bit. But
or a little bit.
I think it is fair to allow.
Then time it.
If she's in the middle of.
Time it. Give us 60 seconds apiece.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
I'll propose that to her.
Let's do 60
But
seconds.
I mean, I'm fine with keeping it open, but just
Imagine being the wife
if
of this,
you're
husband
talking,
of this person.
and she interrupts you, I'll tell her not to. But if you can, just try to let her finish.
Yeah, but when anybody does the bullshit of like, I'm speaking, you know what I mean? Of course there's going to be some...
Yeah.
Yeah, but try to let her finish if you can. But
Yeah, let's do 60-second back and forth.
That's fine with me,
Oh,
as
you
long
wanna
as there's some
do-
boundaries. Yeah,
you want to do that? 60 seconds back
sure.
and forth?
That works.
Or if you guys want, we could give it another shot at just keeping it open combo.
Sure.
So why don't we do that? If the interruptions continue, you guys feel like you're not.
But I would like to just point out that...
Wait. We have to set the rules first. No more talking.
There we go. Yes.
We will do 60
Well,
seconds
like
back
I'm
and
supposed
forth.
to be talking
Yeah. She wants. There you go. She wants to take control, guys. They're not here to debate. They're not here to debate, guys. They're here to take control and just portray strength by manipulation tactics. She just literally wants to manipulate. And you know what's crazy? The reason she's now doubling down is because she did got what she wanted. She did got what she wanted. And look at her. She's looking at Brian because she can recognize that this is not anything to just go against Brian. But Brian is the weakest in terms of frame between Andrew and himself. Right? But the thing is that Brian, she cannot understand that Brian has interviewed thousands of women by now. He knows what's going on. The thing is, he doesn't have the frame to do so, guys. That's what it is.
Do you like that, though, right?
No, 60 seconds back and forth, or I will leave. I'm so serious. We signed an agreement if I appear
Fucking
here.
leave. I don't care.
We
Why
signed-
do you think I care if you...
I think she took a break from social media after this. Anyone can correct me if I'm wrong. I would take a break myself too.
I'm not talking to you.
Hold on, guys.
I'm not
guys,
talking
guys.
to you.
Okay.
I'm talking.
Go ahead. What's your proposal?
My proposal, if we don't do 60 seconds back and forth, I will walk out right now. The agreement was that I appear. It does not say that I have to stay for 3 hours, so I will leave
Wow.
right now. Because I'm not going to be talked to like this. I mean,
Like what? Yeah. What?
real men.
A real
don't
man? You're
talk
going to tell me what a
women
real
like
man
this.
is?
Well, Andrew.
My dad.
Real women don't abort their children, lady.
My dad has the same political beliefs as you, and he would never talk to a woman
And my
like that.
sister
You
has
are
the same political
embarrassing.
beliefs as you, and she would never
Can you
dare
guys-
talk to a
look,
man like
guys,
that.
guys,
Like, what's your
hold on.
point?
Can
That
you
makes
both
no
stop?
sense.
Andrew, can you stop?
Andrew,
In
that's really disrespectful.
furtherance-
Oh,
look,
God. Everything's disrespectful.
Sign language,
Stop.
guys. This is sign
You're such
language.
a crybaby.
Hold on. Andrew, stop. In
Yeah, Brian, but this is Brian. You cannot do this either, right? Now you're putting Andrew as the bad guy. You cannot be doing this, man. I'm sorry. I know you want to keep the debate. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But to the point that now you're putting Andrew as the bad guy, I don't think that's a good strategy, guys. I don't think so. Because you come up as weak. You see what I'm saying? It's coming up as weak. And she thinks that she has the ball in her court. We don't need her. Andrew doesn't need her. Brian doesn't need her. This is a privilege for her. This is exposure. She even has the opportunity to convert some people that might be in the age. This is the perfect opportunity for her. But somehow she thinks that she's the Coca-Cola in the middle of the desert. Which is not. It's not even close. You have to do takeaways. Just you don't want to. This is the second time and third time. You know what? Stand up and go. Stand up and go. Because at this point, she's not being reasonable.
Of ensuring that this debate actually occurs, let's set some ground rules. We got to allow people to finish their
Man,
points.
Dad, you failed on this one, Dad.
Andrew, maybe you've said some mocking things towards her.
No, I have not mocked him at all.
Look,
No. I've stood up for myself.
I need to be fair.
And I will not be mocked. I have not said a word that is bad to you. I talked to you about
Sign
your family
language,
in
guys.
Michigan. I want to get to know you.
Kylie,
This isn't about anything about me mocking you. This is a boundary
I'm
of
here
him
to get to
attacking
know
me.
you. I'm here to
Look.
do a debate.
Look, when you return to the table, you did the tone. Your tone wasn't the best towards Andrew. And look.
My
I'm
tone?
hold on.
Oh, wow.
I'll be fair. Hold on, Kylie. I'll be
That's
fair.
classic.
Andrew's tone towards you wasn't great either. In furtherance of ensuring that the debate actually occurs, why don't we just get back to it and stick to the
She's nervous, guys.
the substance of the conversation?
Okay.
I'm trying to be fair to both of you.
But 60 seconds each, yeah?
The only way she can win this debate is through shame, guys. She knows it. Because Andrew's opening statement already destroyed her worldview already. So the only thing that currently she has in her back pocket is basically shame. It's use sign language on her favor.
No interruptions?
Andrew, if you're fine with
Sure.
that, then
Okay.
I'm fine with that. So
Great.
and if you guys are open to it, if that goes well, the 60 seconds each, we can bring it back to open conversation.
Okay.
Well, there does have
Okay.
to be some cross-examination at some point, but yeah, that's fine.
Sure. Okay. So Kylie, go ahead. You have 60 seconds.
Okay, so the point of my conversation here is I would genuinely like to have an open discussion about like what feminism means and to debunk some of the feminist myths, but my opponent seems to want to attack me instead and call me names, which is totally okay. I'm used to that, especially if you look at my comments online. But the point being, I'm going to try my best to
crazy,
keep it very
bro.
mellow. Again, if I'm being attacked, I am going to get defensive. But I would like to start by saying, yes, the McKinsey study in sociology, psychology studies are flawed, and that is true. They are continually, it's a field that's expanding, and that's why I chose to study psychology, because I do find it so interesting. But that doesn't negate the fact that plenty of studies have found a significant correlation between being a woman and being a victim of violence at the hands of a man. And again, the study of 1 in 3 women globally who experience sexual or physical violence. And I think that is the core of what a lot of feminists believe in, is trying to combat that violent behavior and to protect women. I'm sure that's close to a minute, so I can pass it over
Yeah,
to
so
you.
feminism has completely lied to everybody, and I'll explain exactly how. It failed in its promise. Its promise was that it was supposed to protect women. It hasn't protected women. The very idea that you want to put women inside of male workforces is not protecting women. The idea that you want to have dual colleges where it's men and women together is not protecting women. These are terrible ideas, and they've been borne out as being terrible ideas. When you talk about sociological studies being flawed, I don't think that you're really being honest about how flawed they are. The replication crisis in sociology is getting worse, not better. It's not getting better. Even with all the meta-analysis, it's not getting better. Why isn't it getting better? It's because of bias. There's so much bias which is going on, especially from the purview of feminists. And feminists use standpoint theory. They want everything to go through the view of women. So when you're talking about, for instance, the criteria, when you're
That's
talking
not true.
about what that...
Saying it's not true through the camera doesn't make it true on your part. Keep saying it's not true, it's not true, it's not true. That does not make it an argument. Like, this is what her tactics is just a sign language tactic. That's it.
means that women are assaulted, right? What is the criteria for that, for what an assault actually is?
That's a really good question. There are definitely, we are definitely working on defining the lines for that. So right now there's an acronym that we are coming up with that we want to teach in schools of like what that means, which is FRIES, so freely given, reversible, informed, enthusiastic, or engaged, in specific of what consent means, so that there is no confusion about what is happening in terms of, you know, like whether it's an assault, because I know that does happen where men are confused and they don't know, and especially if there's alcohol involved. And so my goal is to protect women, and also to make sure that men know that if they are causing harm, that, I mean, a lot of men, they don't want to hurt other people. They don't realize it. And so I think if we have better education about like what assault is and how to prevent it, because again, there are male victims. So I think if it's something that we can come forward about and make sure that everyone feels heard and supported, then men would also come forward more about like if they've been assaulted.
This doesn't answer my question, though. My question is, when you cite the data on how many of these women have actually been assaulted, what is the criteria being used?
That's a good question. I see your point of how it varies, like based upon the study and things like that. But I think a lot of these problem is that it is self-reported. But again, another issue is that that means they could be underreported as well, because you know women are too scared to report it. So yes, there are issues with that. But another thing though is that women are definitely in a position in the home where they are not safe in a lot of places. And again, that comes back to the kind of assumption that I was talking about earlier, is that like it's because we married the wrong man and you know this guy is unsafe in our home. But it's not about that. It's sometimes when you marry somebody or you date somebody, they can then become violent towards you because they see you as their property almost.
Most of these domestic violence claims and things like this are happening from single mothers with boyfriends, though, not happening from the father at home.
Do you
in
have a
married
source for that?
relationships. Yes, I do.
Okay. No, I'm just wondering because
Not only is that factually the case, but interestingly enough, if the state seizes custody of a child inside of an abusive home, the child's actually more likely at the hands of the state to die than they are in the hands of the abusive
that's
home.
Crazy,
which
man.
is insane, but true.
That's
I
crazy.
think-
Now, let me give you the studies that you're talking about here.
okay.
Okay.
Are these the studies about which claims that you said?
Yeah, so here we're going to start with the National Incidence Study, NIS. It's the largest collection of all types reporting data relating to abuse and maltreatment of children. Okay? 68% of maltreated children were maltreated by a female, whereas 48% were maltreated by a male. Some children were maltreated by both. Of children maltreated by biological parents, mothers maltreated the majority, 75%, where fathers maltreated a sizable majority, 43%. In contrast, male perpetrators were more common for children maltreated by non-biological parents or parents' partners, 64% or 75%. Safest place you can possibly be in the home is with your husband and with your children. That's for women the safest place they can be. Any study that you
it's logical.
pull up is going to be drawing from the NIS source. That's direct from the NIS itself. There's no refuting that. I've looked and looked and looked. It is definitely from partner incident violence. Women are the safest when they have a husband in the home.
I think for some women that is the case. I think there are good men out there, and I think that's a misconception that feminists don't believe in that there are good men.
And you know what's crazy? By that study, you can get to this conclusion that there's multiple conclusions to this. You can make the argument that feminists, right? They don't want to admit that maybe their decisions, the woman's decision in the future, most likely will not be to protect their kids. Because if you're now allowing somebody, stranger, that has no connection with your current kids from a ex-marriage or former marriage, you are not really making decisions for the well-being of your kids, because there's a highly likelihood, I don't know if that's the right word, that those kids might be SA. And even if you know that, you're still making this bad decision. That means that females by nature, when they make decisions, right, is in some instance like this study, they're making decisions against the kids' well-being majority of the time.
All men, which definitely isn't true, but I would like to say,
I'm wrong, let me
because
know in
you're
the
saying,
chat.
you know, psychology is an evolving field.
If
There
I'm
are
wrong, let me
different
know in the
studies and
chat.
different numbers. Male perpetrators are predominant, and while the exact percentage differs, it's generally estimated that between 75 and 90% of child sexual abuse is committed by men or male adolescents.
Nope. That's because it's not drawing from the correct data set, which would be the NIS.
But
and the
how
reason
could
they
you
do that
have the
is
authority to
because,
say which one is the correct data set?
because
though?
they all draw from the NIS. All of them draw from this data set, the NIS. They have to. It's the most comprehensive source for reporting. So here's what happens. If you wanted to gather data, you're a psychologist.
Are you seriously explaining to me how it works to gather data?
No,
Sign
I'm
language.
asking you a question.
Oh,
If
okay.
you wanted to gather data,
Sign language.
right?
Yes.
That's all that she has. Sign language, guys. That's all she has.
Especially on crimes, you would use law enforcement or the best source for reporting, right? In this case, self-reporting is going to be far less reliable than reports to the police, things like this, right?
Yes, understandable. So you're saying that this is the most comprehensive, therefore the
And
most
make sure
reliable
you like
source.
the chat,
It's the most
like the video,
comprehensive
guys.
source.
But where are you finding
on
that it
which-
is the most comprehensive?
Like
Because
the
you
video.
haven't mentioned a source that says it is. Because I'm looking at it now.
The
and
NIS?
That's not from the NIS. There's the national.
It's from the NIS. From the NIS. Let me
There's
read
the
it to you
National Center
again.
for Victims of Crime in RAIN, which is the statistics that I just
RAIN
pulled
draws
up.
from the NIS.
Okay, so then how come it draws from the same source? And my conclusion is different than yours.
Because they changed the criteria for what is considered assault, and they changed the criteria. Like, I've seen it as bad as them saying that men cannot be essayed by women because it's non-penetrative.
I see.
Wow.
So you're saying that
It's
that would
crazy.
skew the numbers.
It does skew the numbers. So the results of the National Incident Study, NIS, the largest collection of all types of reported data related to abuse and maltreatment, 68% of maltreated children were maltreated by a female, 48% maltreated by a male.
Mm-hmm.
Women, when they're in positions of power over,
abusive.
people who are weaker than them, actually
abusive.
abuse more than men do. So at
Abusive.
the same time, while you say, well, women have to run this big gambit of threats from men because men are much stronger than women and have more propensity to violence, when women are in charge of people who are inferior in strength to them, their incidences of violence towards them are much higher than men's incidences of violence.
And we can see that in the politics. The mayor from Illinois, the Hanier lady. We can see this in Washington State and a lot of these places. I mean, when Letitia James, New York State, they're deliberately abusing their power, deliberately. And you know why they feel that they can abuse their power? Because men by nature will always feel some kind of empathy towards women. Always, for some reason. And this is the dangers of putting people in power. This is the dangers of putting female in power, because men, when they see that, they cannot understand it. We don't understand it, guys. We see it. We're trying to comprehend it, but we don't really understand it. So because we cannot understand it, it's very hard for us to just hold them accountable. The New Orleans mayor, there's a party in the street. I mean, we can go on and on and on. They abuse their power, especially judges.
Towards them.
That's
It
quite the
sounds like women
conclusion.
are the greater threat here than men.
Sure. If you want to say that, that's totally your prerogative, but that's not what the numbers say. So you can say, no, it's my turn to speak.
Yeah.
You can say what you
That
want.
was the numbers game. That means that she doesn't believe what she's saying. That's what the numbers say. She doesn't believe what she's saying.
On about all the different statistics and how they come from a specific study, but the point is that there are different estimates, and basically every study conducted globally has found that the number of female victims is astronomically higher than male victims. Not to say male victims aren't important. If you are a male victim, especially if you haven't spoken up, I have seen the effects of having male sexual assault in my family, so please talk to somebody. It is serious. But 1 in 6 boys have been sexually assaulted, and a lot of the time it is by male offenders.
Yeah,
so it is
but
serious.
what about the fact
But
that
the
when
point
we're
is
talking
that
about
women
rages of
are victims
abuse
more.
of children, women are the ones who are most often in charge of children. The domestic rates, for instance, inside of a boys' home where the guards, prison guards, are all male, and it's a male, youth population versus female. If there's a females in charge of the youth population, the statistics for abuse skyrocket. Same thing inside of public
Are
schools.
you saying that women are more likely to be
Women
what's the word I
are
was gonna say,
more
pedophiles?
likely. No, women are more likely than men when it comes to the weaker sex. In this case, children. We would just say children are both sexes, right? But they're the weaker human than women. When they're in charge of children, they actually abuse them far more than what men abuse women at. And so it's like, so who's really the dangerous ones here?
I mean,
Your 60 seconds begins. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, I would like to say that is a claim that is a reasonable conclusion that you are drawing from the data that you are presenting. Unfortunately, that is not true, though, that the vast majority of sex offenders are male, and especially when, there are still female offenders, and that is still
breaking
bad.
down, guys.
But the point is that there is significant male dominance, and that most sex offenders are male, and females do commit sex crimes, but they're often underrepresented as perpetrators. So you're correct.
No.
Data you're reporting, is it?
Do you want to continue?
Yes, please. And so
You're 60.
Brian, bro. She finished her statement. She want to just give away her 60 seconds. She just gave it away. She just went through a lot of claims that are not true. We're talking about when females are the power. They tend to overuse it, guys. I mean, it's personal experience. That was very common. When you date lawyers and doctors, that's what they do. They have power, the money. They want to pay it. They want to pay you. They want to pay you to stay, guys. They tend to just overuse their power. And especially in these juvenile sentences, these guys have high testosterone. These kids have very high testosterone. Don't you think the woman... the fact that she just glanced over the study that Andrew presented, and she just gave it away as, what you're saying is not true, but do not correct me. It shows you that she's not here to just win the debate. She's just here to pretend. Again, like the last one, she's just here to pretend that she's good at debating, I guess.
This is from the United States Commission sentencing, which is just about
Make
sexual
sure you
abuse offenders. And there's
the
a
video,
whole pie
guys.
chart here, about how many times they offend and who they offend and who they're under guidance for. And again, it is saying that the vast majority, up to 80% of the perpetrators,
10
are
seconds.
men.
Yeah,
But you can talk now.
So, women, do you agree with me that I have to ask some questions here so I can figure some things out? I hope that you'll answer them. So, do you agree with me that both men and women have the propensity to, in some way, essay the other partner, both of them?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's, no, yes, I agree. It is definitely possible for both sexes to do that.
The question becomes, if you switch criteria around, right, for what is considered sexual assault, let's just assume things like catcalling are put in the category.
That's harassment. But are you saying hypothetically?
But let's say it's categorized, not as harassment, but as a form of sexual abuse. Would you say that would greatly skew the numbers?
If that were how it was classified, yes. Do you have evidence that is how it is classified?
I do. In fact, there's a whole grouping of colleges in a study that I can show you where that was smuggled in as a form of sexual assault or SA or sexual battery in some cases, right? They smuggle in, and so what they do is they decide that they want to make that data set wider. And so they just reclassify things which would not ordinarily be classified as sexual assault or sexual battery by just inserting those things. Now, the same exact thing happens here. Do you think that it's very masculine, for instance, inside of society, for men to go and report when a woman gives them unwanted touching?
No. And matter of fact, I do know male victims with female perpetrators.
And they have unwanted touching?
Yes.
So they're just far more likely to report it because of the social stigma, which happens to them often from women who tell them things like, I don't consider you a real man like you did to me earlier.
Oh,
Got you.
I didn't really say that, but
You did.
Yeah,
Your
you
exact
did.
words were,
She just did. You're not a real man like my dad. That's what she said. Whatever that means. We don't know her dad, so I don't know what she's saying. Like a real man.
a real man would X.
oh yeah, like real men like my dad who have the same political beliefs but don't talk to women the way you do.
Yeah, whatever that means. But anyway,
Yeah,
so
whatever that
a real man does X, right? Wouldn't you say that the social stigma around the fact that women can kind of get away with the same type of inappropriate touching without men reporting would greatly skew these numbers?
Yes, however, I think that women and men who are victims and are perpetrators as well, I think those are both underreported. I think across the board it's underreported, but more for male victims with female perpetrators.
Well, how many
So I
more for
suppose-
male victims?
I don't know.
But it could be.
It could be.
It could be drastic, right?
And I would hope not.
And if it is drastic, then it would skew your numbers on all of those percentages across the
Oh,
board.
absolutely,
wouldn't
it would. But the problem is we have no way of gathering that data. And with the data we do have, though, I see what you're saying about the stigma, but it is so vastly that women are victims and men are the perpetrators that I don't see that catching up in any percentage.
Why not? It depends on how underreported it is. In fact,
I
a lot of
suppose.
these data sets draw from unreported incidences via estimates, don't they?
Unreported incidences via estimates.
Yes. So
I suppose, yeah. There's
yeah.
no way that they can actually gather that data. Yeah.
Yeah. So this would be the exact same thing, right? They're making a supposition based on an estimate. This would equally have to apply to men. But if the social stigma is there by your own admission that men are basically not reporting the instances of unwanted touching from women due to this social stigma, we don't.
We don't do it because a lot of guys don't even know that that's the case. Probably she walked by and touched, his buduku, and all of a sudden, he's like, oh man, she touched me. At least I got touched at least once. I'm not saying that's okay, but for guys, that might be what goes through their mind. They don't even realize that they just got touched, right? So a lot of these numbers, we have to be careful. And the fact that, here's the thing, guys. All these started because females wanted to be in male spaces. As simple as that. They wanted to be in male spaces. If you want to be in male spaces, you have to be aware that you're going to be around testosterone. But they want to be a judge but not wear the wig, kind of a thing. You know what I'm saying? You want to be the judge, you have to wear the wig.
Don't actually know how bad that social stigma really is, do we?
No, and I mean, that's also what feminists, that's a great point, and I agree with you, because feminists, that is one of, it's also my 60 seconds, right?
Well,
No?
we're having a back and forth now, so.
Oh, okay. Well,
If
can
you
I have
got-
60 seconds? Because I would just like to talk a little bit about
Well, you
stigma.
can't we can't get into a back and forth and then
yeah,
like
give me 60
arbitrarily demand
seconds,
whole,
that's-
whole blocks.
Okay,
of
well,
time, right?
I'm just going to give some statistics because I think we're on the same page here. I think we've actually found common ground. So the stigma around SA and abuse is what allows these numbers to be underreported. And so I think that because that's what feminists want, is we want men to be comfortable coming forward as well, because we want safety and equality for the sexes. That is what the definition of the term is the belief in social, economic, and political equality of
Well,
the
let me
sexes.
refute these lies because
Well, I think that some people don't believe that. who
all
are feminists, but-
national campaigns that I've seen hyper focus on
it's
women and the abuse
female.
of women, already making the supposition that men are the monsters and the criminals who are doing the unwanted touching in the SA. And because of that, because this is done at a national level, at a state level, at a local level, and the organizations and NGOs are all hyper focusing on women, this stigma towards men is never addressed because women are only looking at it through the prism of
Well, I
women.
don't. It's not just women who are working on these studies, right, and who are writing these articles.
It
It's
doesn't
also
matter.
men.
Don't you say men
that
can
makes
be
it better.
feminists?
Yeah.
Okay,
But-
so by your criteria, these men who have the same exact worldview as
those
you,
are the
they're still
worst.
hyper focusing on feminism.
Male feminists are the worst, man. So forget about the female feminists. You will understand by default, right? But male feminists, that's the not the category, the demographic that a lot of these red pillers need to focus, guys. They're the enforcement of the ideology. Male feminists are just simply the enforcement of the ideology, not the feminists. Right?
feminism, and the idea always starts with the supposition that men are the more violent sex, that they are more often doing these types of SA, sexual assaults, things like this. And what do we end up with? We end up with very skewed numbers based on the criteria, right? Where within just a matter of minutes, we can determine that not only can most of this stuff be replicated, but we can also determine that just based on the viewed categorization of these things, they can't be true. These numbers can't be true.
Okay, now, so I don't understand where you're coming from with how it can't be true, how something can't be true, because again, if you're going off of something being underreported and the data not being there, you're saying, okay, well then this is true, which means this can't be true, which means this, and you're not even going from like actual data.
Do you want me to demonstrate it?
No, I'm okay. I'm talking for now, please.
There we go, more sign language.
So it would be like this.
And you notice how Andrew just glossed over? This is frame. Right here, guys, this is frame. This is how you take frame. She's still trying to control the conversation by sign language. Now, she has some power because of the negotiation that she went through with Brian. Probably Brian showed some weakness during that negotiation. She still thinks she has the leverage. That's why she's overdoing it. And notice, when females have some kind of power, they want to what? Overuse it. At this point, her status in the room is almost gone. Now her frame is gone. Her frame, she has no frame now. And Andrew is like, man, we're not playing this anymore. I'm gonna say what I have to say and whatever. This is a good example of frame.
Okay. I feel like you've dominated the conversation for the last few minutes, if that's okay.
I told you.
Well, I thought you just wanted me to demonstrate for you something.
No, I'm actually okay on that. Thank you.
You don't want me to? You asked me a question, you don't want me to answer it?
No, I was actually in the middle of talking.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. No, like that was genuine. I wasn't trying to be rude.
I know, you're welcome.
Thanks. The
patriarchy is benevolent.
Yes. So I think that the four principles that is a common misconception that, and if you want to refute these, like I would love that, but working to increase equality economically and politically for women, which again, not rooted in female supremacy, but some people think it is, expanding human choice, meaning male, female, everyone, eliminating gender stratification, which means, globally it's
Hang on, can we move back to 2?
Yes. Expanding human choice. And for everybody. And then 3, eliminating gender stratification.
Whatever that means,
most
right?
of the power and money is concentrated
Whatever that means.
to men globally. So sort of making the opportunities there for women. And again, like you have to think about this globally as well. Like we're very US centric, I think, in this debate, but there are definitely countries where women are really, really deprived of any sort of
autonomy. Let's talk about feminism in the Middle East, right? Because right. You're gonna do a lot of the you're gonna really push that one, huh? Like, come on, really? You guys really believe that you want to protect the females in the Middle East? She doesn't. If she wanted to protect them, she wants us, the Westerners, to just do that for them. Nah, we're not doing that. We're talking about the United States and the Western world. That's all we're talking about.
And then the final one is ending sexual violence, which we've talked about quite a lot. So those are the 4 principles of feminism as we see it today. And although there are different places around the world, I guess we can focus, sort of here and globally if you have points on that. Or if you just want to confine it to the U.S., then let me know.
Yeah, well, the U.S. is where I live. That's what I'm talking about. But
Okay.
So when we're discussing this idea, especially of no, these numbers are accurate. That actually can't be true. You said, no, it actually can be. Well, no, it can't be, because one, you've already admitted that there's a stigma towards reporting, which means that these numbers are already skewed right from the get-go. Here's a good demonstration of this. This is something you'll hear psychologists say a lot, and I'm sure you probably said it yourself, that mental illness probably has always been somewhat near as high as it is right now. It's just that it went underreported, right? That's something that you would say, or there's just as many transgender people now as there were, or homosexuals. It's just that we didn't have the right numbers because they weren't able to report them correctly, right? Mm-hmm. So it follows then that if it is the case that under all of these circumstances, due to a lack of reporting due to stigma, we didn't have the correct numbers, and so you can suppose that into the data that you have right now for how many there's always been.
Right.
Why couldn't I do the exact same thing with SA numbers?
No, you can, but how are you going to get the how are you going to get the figure that it is more? Are you saying it's more female perpetrators than male perpetrators?
If I look
how could you possibly get that
because
number?
if I look at the raw data and we look at stigmas, right? If we're looking,
we agree on stigma, but the data, how do you have that?
Because the data is not taking into account the stigma towards male reporting.
But it is. But I'm saying there are no
But it's
reported
not.
cases.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
no,
can't.
It's not.
I
You're
know a
right.
guy.
How do you
Yeah,
report the
he's right.
cases if the stigma is there for them to not report?
So yes,
A
given
lot
that,
of people,
how do we come
you know
up
what's crazy?
with
A lot of
'cause you
people
know
were
how-
saying that. A lot of people were saying that she was, she was taking sugar. She was taking sugar, guys. I don't know. She could be. She could have been, guys. But a lot of you guys were saying, no, she's taking sugar. I don't know. She touched her nose multiple times, but I don't know.
Other places they come up with estimates, these studies that you just cited. So how do we come up with an estimate for female
whether
perpetrators?
we come up with the estimate or not, we have good reason to doubt the various estimates by RAINN and these other sexual advocacy organizations, especially when I look at the NIS. Because when I look at the NIS, I get totally different numbers, and it's way more comprehensive. It's the largest, most comprehensive data set on planet Earth is the NIS, and that's what it shows. It shows that women are far more likely to abuse their children than men. When women are in positions of dominant power and authority over weaker people than themselves, they're more likely to abuse almost every time. This is also included in healthcare stats. When they are in charge of people who are weaker than them in healthcare situations, they abuse far more than men do.
You keep talking about the NIS, which specific, are you talking about the national, because the specific study that you're talking about, how women are perpetrators more frequently, genuinely cannot find it anywhere on the internet.
Okay, I'll pull up the exact study if you give me just a second.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Because I'm looking at the Bureau of Justice statistics and the FBI and
CNN,
from the
everything.
even the CDC talks
And
about.
remember, guys, and you know what's crazy? The last lady did the same thing. She was saying this and saying that, somehow creating an inflation of your tone makes the argument better. The FES statistic and the police and that doesn't make it better. And again, guys, this is more of that. Let me pretend to know what I'm talking about during the debate to appear that I'm a professional at this. And clearly, if you guys noticing, Andrew's breaking her worldview slowly. He could have just go to a jugular early on. He didn't want it. He just said, you know what? Let me just do it slowly. And this is why at the end she just broke down. This is why she broke down at the end.
And this from the U.S. Department of Justice. Sexual victimization in juvenile facilities reported by Youth 2012.
Okay.
Okay.
And is this where you're saying that
these are all comprehensive? These are all comprehensively included inside of the NIS. This is what I'm saying is that I have.
Correct, Kinopio. Raising your inflection doesn't make your statements true. Yeah, it doesn't make it. It's a way of you trying to cope with the situation that you don't know what you're talking about.
Each individual study ready for you. You can look also, and we can move to this as well if you want to.
Wait, so is this the one where you're saying that female perpetrators are more frequent? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. That's from the National Incident Study.
Oh, National Incident Study.
Yes.
Okay.
The largest collection of all types of reported data related to abuse, maltreatment of children. 68% of the maltreated children were maltreated by a female, 48% maltreated by a male. In every circumstance, the NIS finds that when women are put in charge of people who are weaker than themselves are more likely to abuse than the stronger sex, that being men. And what's interesting about this is it gives us every reason to believe that if women had the exact same frame and build as men did, that men that they would actually abuse far more often than men do them, right? So what we're looking at here is we're looking at a huge problem where women who are supposedly being abused by men are doing a whole lot of abuse which is going unreported of children while you're focusing on the scapegoat of men.
Because it's projection. It's a way of just hiding behind the blanket. They're just trying to hide behind the blanket. And we notice this also in politics, how they just accuse of somebody doing certain things, but in reality, they're doing it. It's a way of it's a cope mechanism. And females are very, very good at that. Females are very good at that. They're very good at projecting. And because men tend to be very logical, we just get lost in that smoke screen. And we want to defend our position through logic. And females know this. They have that social IQ that men don't have.
Yeah, I don't doubt that women are, unfortunately, a lot of women are abusing children. But the study that you're saying, the only thing that I'm able to find is that 1 in every 25 children in the U.S. experience maltreatment. Neglect is more prevalent than abuse. And then they talk about how for the 4% of children that experience genuine maltreatment and in danger of death. But I'm not seeing anything. It says, girls were sexually abused much more often than boys under the harm standard and endangerment standard, with male perpetrators being more common. That's all I was able to find.
Okay. Would you like for me to actually link it to you? That was just from the juvenile facility study, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But what about the NIS data? The NIS data is going to be the most important because it's the most comprehensive collection of it.
It's funny because you keep repeating this talking point about a study that I can't find.
Well, how do you?
I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but
so you think that the National Institute
Look
study
at her.
is not
She's
reporting
nervous,
it?
guys. I don't know if you guys caught that. Look at her hands. Look at her. She's trying to use every trick in the book.
repeating this talking point about a study that I can't find.
I cannot find. Please don't send it to me.
Well, how do you?
I'm
you
not saying it
can't-
doesn't exist, but
From
look at her
so
hands.
you think that the National
Look at her
Institute
hands,
study is
bro.
not reporting this?
She'll lie.
Like I could link. I
no,
could
no, no.
link it to you.
No, I believe it. I'm just saying, like, there are so many more common sources that have different numbers talking about how male perpetrators are more common than the study that you're talking about. Because I
Here,
genuinely,
I got a little more for you. The U.S.
can you
Department.
airdrop it to me? Is that...
Yeah, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has been tracking the data on child abuse and neglect since 1978 with something called the National Incident Study, NIS. The National Incident Study is a congressionally mandated periodic effort of the United States Department of Health and Human Services. There have been 4 such reports, the latest being the NIS-4, which came out 2010. This includes the breakdown. The NIS gathers data from all reporting agencies and any study will pull from these agencies because it's the congressional authority which is gathering that data. The methodology, the NIS uses a standard definitional framework for classifying
language,
child
bro.
maltreatment,
So keep
including
doing the
both
sign
types
language.
of abuse and neglect. These are the legitimate numbers, and feminists have been hiding them under a rock because they don't want to talk about this issue.
I think that is an interesting theory. I think that a lot of the things that you're talking about go more into theory than into fact. And that's okay. I think that goes into what I'm saying is like just generally that's why I'm here, is to debunk a lot of the myths.
Well, you can debunk that myth.
Well, again, you said you would send me the study. Cannot find the study that women are more likely to be perpetrators. It doesn't. I genuinely cannot find a single thing.
Well,
I've been looking for 5-10 minutes.
You've been looking for
Airdrop
what?
it.
Have you been looking on
I
NIS?
literally looked at exactly what you said. Cannot find the numbers.
It's
now
okay.
because
Now she's
I'm
lying.
not. This is not trying to be like an appeal to like authority, but I've done like debate my whole life, and like obviously like most of the time.
Yeah, look at it. You heard that, guys? I have done debates all my life, man. So I'm like, I'm not, I'm not a loser here in this sphere. I have done debates all my life. And I don't know what you're talking about. This is her way of just getting those little points. And she thinks that Andrew's going to just simply cave. Because she's been using a lot of sign language. It's not working. It's not working. It's not working. You see, also, guys, pay attention to this. Her body language, look at her back. On top of her back, she's not like this. Like a little curve on her back. And moving her pen a lot. Opening up and, do all this stuff. She's losing the debate. Her ammunitions are almost done.
And to focus on the facts. So to me, if I can't understand the facts, that they don't exist of where I'm finding it, that is a problem for me. Okay, I saw that. It didn't say the numbers that you were talking about.
Yes, it has them. This is from.
Scroll
There's
down.
no way you
Scroll down
read.
so I can read it.
How in the
I was
world?
just on that website and it did
how
not
in
say
the
that female perpetrators
world
are more common.
Did you read that entire thing in 2 minutes? That is nonsense. It is huge.
My
There is
IQ is
no
very
possible
high.
way you went through
Ah,
those numbers.
please.
I read like
That is the biggest.
Yeah, my IQ is very high. Guys, I don't have a high IQ. I'm probably a very average guy. I'm an average guy. And no way she read that bunch of pages in just 2 minutes. My IQ is very high, man. Talk about ego, huh? Talk about ego.
100 books a
That
year.
is the biggest
100
crime. There
books
is
a
no
year. Get the
possible
hell
way
outta
you
here.
went through that in 2 minutes. It is massive.
Okay, you can think that. It's okay.
What do you mean think that? That is not humanly possible. Do you have magic powers
smart.
that I'm
I'm pretty
unaware
smart.
of?
I don't know.
You're pretty smart. What? Oh, come on. At least be honest in the debate. I mean, you could just say I didn't read it.
Yeah.
You say,
I
I
did read it.
couldn't find the numbers that you're citing. There's no possible
because
way
they
you
don't
looked
exist.
at that.
The numbers that you're talking about, there's
They don't
no
exist.
Female perpetrators are not more common than male perpetrators. So, like, again, I would prefer that we would stick to actual reality and facts.
Yeah, you're right, Kinopio, you're right. That study 60 plus pages. She's coping for real. And she thinks that by saying that I have a high IQ, that somehow it's going to make it real, bro. 150 IQ is above genius level, guys. 100, I think 135, you're already in that threshold of genius. You're pretty smart by 135, right? But 150, you might be in the what? In less than 1% of geniuses? Let me know in the chat. But 150, bro, this is founding father kind of territory. Like, this is crazy.
These are the actual realities and facts. I just showed you the study.
That's Mozart,
right?
that
The most
territory,
likely
guys.
reason why women are more likely to abuse than men, other
I
than
agree.
the fact they're not being used, checked on using force, is the UK's leading mental health charity. The Mental Health Foundation says that today, women are 3 times more likely than men to experience common mental health problems as well. Do you want to go over that?
About how men are more likely to experience
No.
mental health issues?
No, women are more likely to experience mental health issues.
Yeah.
What is your point? Yes.
Than men.
Well, what's your point? in
Well,
that?
how is feminism combating this?
I would hope that we can continue to do a better job. I mean, there's a lot of people
she's
that I
losing
know
it, guys.
that really
She's
struggle
losing
with
it.
their mental health, and a lot of, I mean, we don't have to get too deep into it, but I know that a lot of women who have experienced some abuse sexually at the hands of a man, and then that led them to have mental health issues. I also know men
More than
where
soldiers
that's
have
the case.
PTSD?
No. PTSD is certainly an issue, but you can get PTSD from a number of things. So I would like to point out that, like, just saying one thing doesn't negate the other, right? So, like, just because I think it's important to talk about women's mental health doesn't mean men's mental health isn't important, because, again, they are more likely
She's
to,
nervous,
like,
bro.
unalive
And what about
themselves.
the fact that
That's very
women's mental health has been astronomically
Yeah, okay.
growing in the negative direction under feminism, especially under the egalitarianism of gender? They report the happiest levels that women report are when
Yeah,
they're
she's
married.
losing it, guys. She's losing it. And she touched her nose because I think she has a piercing in her nose. I think in her right side. So I'll be Candace here. I think she has like a little piercing in her right nose.
and in traditional gender
Have you ever
roles.
heard of the term ignorant? The phrase "ignorance is bliss." I think
I'm sorry.
for a lot
Do
of
I want to? I'm sorry. Do I need to go and experience killing someone, right, to know that I don't want to experience killing someone?
what?
Well,
How does that have anything to do with
Well,
what I
ignorance
said?
is bliss. It's
No.
possible, for instance, that I could kill someone and really love it, right?
Would I
That's
be
possible.
able to maybe talk about?
Well,
it?
hang on. I want you to answer my question. Is that possible?
I just don't really understand how
Can you
that's
answer
related.
my question though? If
She's losing,
is
guys.
it
She's
possible
losing.
that I could kill somebody and then just really like it?
But how does that in
Can
any
you answer
way?
my question?
Yeah,
please?
her body language right now. You see her eyes? Are like almost. I'm about to cry. I'm about to cry now. That's her body language right now. She's collapsing in real time.
Stop negating the question. Just answer the question.
I just don't really want to talk about
I don't
murder.
care what you want to talk. I want you.
You're
to
right, Kinopio. 140 is genius. 150 will pull her in the 0.04% of the population. Yeah, I mean, I think the highest is what, 160? There's one guy that said that he has 200 IQ. At that point, you might be flying with your head. You might be flying with your head, just literally just lifting stuff with your mind. But yeah, 140 is geniuses. You know, you see a lot of classical pianists. They're in that level too. What they call the prodigies. And 150 is out of this. She could, guys. I don't know. She could. But personally, she does not give me that genius vibe.
answer my question,
I'm
and
not,
I'll answer
I'm not
yours.
answering your question. Just go to
You're
your
not
point.
going to answer my question?
About murder. That's not related to this at all.
Yes, it's listen. It's logically
Answer how you think I would answer.
logically
Answer how you want me to
analogous.
answer, and
What
then
do you
go
mean?
ahead.
I'm in a debate with you. I'm not in a debate with me.
I'm not Why would I answer this hypothetical question about murder that has nothing to do with the? I was talking about.
Then
ignorance
if it has
bliss.
nothing to do with it, I'm going to look really stupid, right? So just answer the question.
So go ahead and finish because I would
Yeah.
like
So
to
my
make a point.
question to you was:
this
isn't it
lady.
possible that I could kill someone and really like it?
Yo,
be
this
yes
is
or no.
crazy, man. This is
Yeah,
toxic.
I understand how this works.
Yo,
but
need
and
you
you
to-
know what's crazy about this? This is literally, guys. How would you imagine her being in a relationship? This is literally how she will be in a relationship. Very passive aggressive. This is literally, if you want to talk about red flag or a female, right here. This is why, if you marry somebody like her, this is what you're about to experience. Having an argument, you want to get to the point, make sure that we can fix things, and she's just playing these games. and all of a sudden in 3 years you get a divorce. She just simply get everything, and then she's the victim. Right here.
You need to answer my questions. We're in a debate. I will answer your questions, but you also need to answer mine, or I can't get to the worldview. Yes or no?
Okay, this seems like a really moot point to me, and
Can you just answer it then? You've wasted like 2 minutes not answering the question.
This is like a 3-hour debate.
Yeah, why are you wasting time? Just answer the question.
Yeah, her mind is already gone, guys.
Look, Kylie, it's conceivable that you're going to propose hypothetical questions to Andrew to test
And I'll answer
his
them.
logic and worldview. He'll answer it. I think it's
She's
fair
done,
question
guys.
If you can answer it.
Yeah, this
the
is not
moderator.
TikTok. This is not TikTok. Her mind is already gone, guys. She doesn't have the stamina to do these debates for a long period of time.
Sure. I suppose it is possible, yes, that if
Okay.
you did it, then you would enjoy it, although it makes me uncomfortable to talk about that.
Okay, but
Sure,
if
whatever.
this is the case, well, it would be possible for any human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's logically possible. So the thing is that knowing that this is true, that we could, I am actually ignorant, having never killed anybody, right? And I am in bliss about that. I myself am really, really happy that I've never done that, even though I could do that and could be very happy about that. The idea that you would make the point, ignorance is bliss, seems to entail...
Well, you didn't even let me get to
well,
talk.
Hang on. I just want
You're just talking
I'll give
over
you,
me.
I'll give you the question.
Oh, I have to wait for you to let me talk. Thank
Sign
you.
language.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So what I would say is this. When you say ignorance is bliss, all you're doing is alluding to the fact that people should engage
I'm giving you
in
15
risky
seconds, and if
behavior
you don't
because
give me
they
the
may
mic,
apply
I'm
it.
leaving. Go ahead. 15.
Wow.
Oh
This
my
is
God, you're going to
crazy.
leave?
Yeah.
Oh no. Uh-oh.
So it's not
Look,
working.
Andrew's finishing his point.
I
Yeah,
was.
her
He was
manipulations
finishing his
are not
point.
working, guys. This is her final stretch. She's about to get. She already gave up, guys. She's using this sign language. She's trying to use these tactics, these toxic feminine tactics, guys. Toxic femininity tactic. Manipulating, not listening. You're gonna shut up. You're gonna listen to me. This right here, and she's not even married, guys. Damn. I think so. I don't know. She might.
No, I'm
And then-
serious.
no,
10,
but
15
hold on,
seconds.
hold on, but-
because he's been talking for the last 5 minutes. So it's really not
well,
fair.
look.
You're not moderating very well here.
Well, to
Oh,
be fair,
okay.
you guys got to allow...
We were actually doing really well, I
Hold
think.
on.
Until I was making a broader point, then that wasn't allowed.
Well, it was at the expense of me speaking
Hold
is
on.
the problem.
Hold on, just one moment. So, look, in conversations and especially in a debate, look, sometimes people are gonna butt in. There's been a few times you've done it.
Yeah.
Andrew's done it. You've both
Yep.
done it. I'm trying my best here.
Well,
Just
that's why I'm
allow-
alerting you. I feel like at this point
But-
I would like to be able to speak my point because he rebutted
guys
me
have-
before I was able to give my point, and that's been happening the last 5
You
minutes.
asked me a question. Have you heard the term ignorance
Yes,
is bliss?
so I could speak and explain my point.
Yeah, so then I said yes and said, but here's the
and then
problem
talk
with that.
for about 3-4 minutes and then try to back me into corner
give
over
the
nonsense.
expression. When I ask you a question, you answer it. I expect a yes or no, and then you give a comprehensive answer like I was.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So can I give my explanation? now?
Are you done, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay. go
Okay,
ahead.
so you going back like 5 minutes basically to what you mentioned was the term like, oh, women are happier in the home with a husband and kids, right? And so the term of ignorance is bliss, I think for a lot of women who do not have the opportunity to get an education and they are forced to be in the home, they don't know any other alternative. So some women are truly happy, but if that becomes the standard that women have to be in the home and have kids and they don't have the opportunity to get an education.
Yeah, you're right, Kino. They always want equality. Yeah, they don't want equality, right? They just want privilege. That's it. They just want the privilege.
Then of course that's going to be something that they think brings them joy because they don't have any other opportunities. And so like there's a lot of people in my mom's generation or my grandma's generation where like they were like, man, I wish I could have gone to school and like had an education and like picked someone and they just fell into a marriage that either was abusive or like they weren't happy. And so I think that it's easier to report higher levels of happiness when you perceive it to be your only option is living in the home and having children and raising them.
Yeah.
So, but what do you have to say to that? Because
Yeah,
I'm
so
curious.
interestingly-
because it goes to your like underreported things like you were talking
first
about
of
earlier.
all, when you give anecdotal evidence like, oh, my mom and mom's friends.
Oh,
may
I can
have
give you an
wished-
actual study
hang
if you
on,
want.
May have, and I can refute it. I promise. But here's the thing: when you give anecdotal evidence and you say, well, my mom's friends, this and that, wish that they could have gone to school. There's also anecdotal evidence, and an awful lot of it, and you can find it on YouTube right now. Of tons of women saying,
See, the chat and the whatever they're not simping. She's not liking it. She's not used to that, guys. Look at her.
they wish that
Look at
they
her.
had
See,
not.
Look at there we go, guys. Right here. Look at that face. That's literally the face of defeat. That's the face of I lost this debate. We are only 49 minutes in. That's it. This is literally the face of I just lost. And I'm going to get exposed.
Gone and gotten a career,
There you go.
and wish that they would have instead deferred those childbearing years. in
Make
order
sure you
to have
like
a family,
the-
because they see the happiness levels
life
of their
guide.
friends, colleagues, coworkers, things like this. That anecdotally is also just as true. But to even go on to the ignorance is bliss, I could say this and make this case about literally anything. I could say, well, I would love heroin, right? I've never taken it, but ignorance is bliss, right? Oh, I could say ignorance is bliss about literally anything, any drug,
Well, that's not the only
hang on,
statistic I have,
any
though.
risky. I didn't cut you off. Any risky behavior, any of this. I could say that about anything. What you're doing is saying, these women are happy. There must be some bad
She's
reason.
not
for
listening.
that.
Oh, no, some women are happy.
No, you're saying
I agree.
these women are happy, and there must be a bad reason for that. And the bad because they're doing
Not for all
traditional.
of them.
Hang on, because they're doing traditional gender roles. So that must be bad. So we can explain that away by saying if they had all these negative experiences, that those women who have those negative experiences actually report a higher unhappiness level. Those women.
Yo, Waco said, two things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity. And I'm not sure about the universe. Quote Albert Einstein. That's a good quote from him.
Women would actually be happier.
Very good quote.
That's absurd logic, by the way.
Okay, sure. Well, again, I agreed with you on quite a few things there, but I would also like to say that, like I said at the beginning in my opening statement, the home being the most dangerous place for women, like there are women who are in abusive marriages, and so they have to convince themselves that they are happy because their husband is beating them or like assaulting them or harming their children. And
but
when you're
that's
in
not
that sort of
true.
situation, it's very difficult to be able to walk away from it, and oftentimes because you're isolated. And so, yeah, because the home is the most dangerous place for women, and 6 women are killed every hour in the home around the
Talking
world.
points.
Those are
These are
very
talking
difficult
points.
realities that a lot of people don't want to grasp. And I'm not saying that every woman doesn't, isn't happy in the home. I think there are plenty of happy moms. I mean, my mom has worked and raised our children, her
Sure.
children, and my sisters and I, and like helped my dad out with like work. But yeah, for the most part, was a stay-at-home mom, and I think she really enjoyed it. But for me, at this point in my life, that's not something that I would like. And it's not to say that it's it's a bad thing, but I think that.
Now she's personalizing the arguments. Now she's personalizing the back and forth. It's not. This is not a good. This is literally her trying to say whatever she had of pride, but this is not. This is not how you want to go down with the chip.
Some people are convincing themselves that they're happy when in reality it's a very difficult and abusive situation.
I'm going to have to go back to the NIS where I point out to you that as you keep saying that the most dangerous situation for women is in the home.
Well, that's according to the UN around the world, though, not just here.
Okay, but inside of the United States, at least, and inside of the Western nations, this is a commonality that they all share. It's not usually from the husband. It's usually from boyfriends of single women or single moms. Or as far as, for instance, cohabitation. Cohabitation leads to some of the worst outcomes for women when they're not married. And men. It leads to terrible outcomes for both. This idea that you have that when you say this, it's very loaded. It gives the impression that husbands are at home abusing their wives. And the opposite is actually true. The truth is that when women get divorced and they end up in these occupied relationships, that's when they end up with the most amount of abuse, not from their husbands.
Well, I think it's, how we were talking about earlier about like confounding factors and other things that might, the classification of things might change.
Oh man, Waco, that's a good one. Man is the only creature who refuses to be what he is. Albert Camus or Camus. That's a very good one, man.
Results of studies. For this one, I'm looking at it, and it says facts and statistics on domestic violence DV, and it's mainly including intimate partner. So it's not talking about husband or boyfriend.
That's why we separate them, right? So we would separate those two categories to see who's the more
but
abusive.
Do you have a statistic?
Yes, I just gave it to you twice from the NIS.
But I know, but like I'm looking at it, and again, like I'm having.
Show me the numbers from the NIS that you're looking at. I actually don't believe you.
Oh, I'm not looking at the NIS right now. I was looking at it earlier, could not find the number you were talking about.
Yeah, but you looked at it
that
for
does not
1
exist.
minute.
No, I didn't.
You did. I literally pulled it direct from the NIS.
Hold on.
I didn't.
You did.
Let me go back. There's a super chat in the Whatever podcast, right? From a stay-at-home mom. I am very happy that I said, quote, F school, close quote, and became a wife and mother. I'm 25, have 3 kids, have an amazing husband, and spend the day with them. What did you do today? whine about having a combo, that's right. I mean, she's saying that, but I can guarantee you her inbox will probably be with demons and witches saying that she just need to just be hanged or something. That's how they do it, guys. This is literally how they do it. If you say something like this, they just go after you like demons.
I literally pulled it direct from the NIS itself.
When there is a minor in the home and there is abuse, they look at both parents. And in that case, they are finding, according to this, the Domestic Violence Center data for Mankind Initiative, I'm finding...
The Mankind Initiative?
Yeah, here,
the
I'll
cult?
send it to you.
The cult, the Mankind Initiative?
I have no idea what you're talking. I mean, this is it's a statistic, it's like a study that's produced.
Yeah,
I could go to the University of Pennsylvania's one
do
if you
that
want.
because the Mankind Initiative, as far as I know, is a Western cult which exists as a demasculating agency. Just so you know.
Well, so it's saying analyzing 31,000. This is Penn today. So this does go to your point. It is just slightly above the spouse rate for abusive boyfriends. But again,
and those go reported much more, right? The marriage rates go reported much more than than these rates where you're living outside of the home with another man.
Right. So
because that's the more common living arrangement. Therefore, I am correct. It is true that the most dangerous situations co-occupancy, not marriage.
I mean, there's different. I think it's difficult. You deal a lot in absolutes, and as a teacher, that's something that we are told not to do to facilitate like open communication. Is because you typically say, "Well, this is true. This is true. That means I am truth. I am correct in saying this thing." But again, statistics are changing all the time. So actually, you're contradicting yourself because at the beginning you were like,
"What I'm saying is
things change."
I can negate these with logic by simply pointing this out.
I mean, you can negate anything when you talk to yourself like you do, because you're not really listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth.
I'm listening. Do you want me to steelman your position? You just said to me that everything when it comes to statistics is fluid. I would tend to agree with that based on oncoming data which is coming in. However, we still have.
And you notice how she say "okay" in a submissive body language, like she's opening her eyes, saying "okay." And even right now, I stopped this. She's looking down, defeated. But she's saying, okay, like, okay. In a submissive state, like, okay. Okay, submissive. But then she want to just attack and then go back to that submissive state. Because she's about to crash out. Look at her. It's not working. What she's doing is not working. And she underestimated men. She underestimated men. Especially men like Andrew. That they do this, and worse, they enjoy it. Andrew enjoys debating, and he's having a blast. He's just taking each of her points, dismantling them, and not only that, he wants to get more. That's why he can be here for hours.
Have to apply logic and inductive reasoning even when we're dealing with data sets, especially.
I didn't say we don't. I agree.
So those are unchanging, unconfounding variables, logic and reason. So if we're using those two things, we can easily point
that's a good one. The fool doth think he is wise, but the wise man knows himself to be a fool. Good point.
This and say we know for sure that it's going to be underreported in cohabitation and possibly reported at least better from the marriage standpoint. That's probably true. I don't think anybody would really dispute that.
Yeah, actually, I found a study to your point. Researchers have consistently found higher rates of violence in cohabitating compared to marital relationships, but in those cases, still it is 95% of perpetrators are male. So what do you have to say in terms of that?
Yeah. Okay. So here's what happens.
Kind of male?
What feminism has done, especially with the destruction of the marriage, is it has put women in the most vulnerable position, where now they leave their home with their husband, where the abuse rates are not nearly so high as pretentious feminists pretend they are, so that they can cohabitate with other men who are strangers to them, strangers to their children. It puts their children at risk, and it puts them at actually higher risk than if they had stayed with their husbands in most cases.
Oh, okay. That makes sense as an explanation, but I think that, again, that's an anecdote that's probably not true for everybody. And
I don't think so, Waco. Was there any alcohol involved? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think she's clean, and I think she has some alcohol. She probably could have performed better. I think she could have performed better. because and that way she can be more relaxed. She's too stingy. Like I don't think this is helping her because her one-liners are not working. Her sign language is not working. Her negative body language is not working. Her trying to control the conversation is not working. So what other option she has? She has no options.
The cases are pretty clearly in place. Like the evidence has shown that regardless of whether there's children in the marriage, 95% of the perpetrators are men. And, we were talking about how it is likely underreported for female perpetrators, right, in marriages. I'm sure there are abusive wives, but I think that the point being is that it is it is definitely a pattern in terms of, in the United States, of the home being made unsafe because of men that live there. It doesn't have to be the husband, but it is men that are, being violent with the women that they are living with. And I think your point about how it's women that are picking these boyfriends that are abusing them is not fair, because again, you don't know men that are going to turn out to be abusive until they hit you one day. It doesn't start out with, if you went on a first date with a woman and she clocked you in the face, would you continue to date her? No, you wouldn't. It's the same with women.
Here's what we're going to do.
Okay,
Andrew, you give your response, then we're going to do prompt change.
Okay.
Okay, so but
yeah, that was the end of my
I don't even understand this. Like, all of the stats back up exactly what I'm saying. You agree with me that what I'm saying is likely the most true case at the scenario, at least compared to all the
about
numbers.
Boyfriends being more abusive?
Yeah, can I finish? Right?
Oh, I was just clarifying.
I didn't cut you off. So the thing is like, look, as we look at this data, the data backs up everything that I just said, especially when it comes to cohabitation. You say, well, it's not women's responsibility that they're picking these men. It's like, well, women are initiating most of these divorces. For one, they're leaving their husbands. They put themselves in this confounding situation where now they're being abused by strange men, often because they want them as sexual partners or other things like this. You say, well, that's true that the abuse happens inside of these places, male, whether there's children or not. Great. But when it's a cohabitation event where children are involved, you're now putting your children at risk because the risk skyrockets for abuse. Skyrockets for abuse of those children. No wonder.
Wakaman is saying lapses in good judgment are commonplace when people are put on the spot. It seems like they want to make their points rather than relate pertinent information to the topic at hand. Are you talking more about her? Because I think and I don't think she's there to really get the arguments across. I don't think she's there even to get the information. I think she thought this was going to be a walk in the park. Personally, I think that's what she thought it was going to be. I'm gonna say these talking points, and because most of the time I don't get rebuttal, so she does. I think she does live in TikTok, and she mute people when she wanted to do her back and forward. But that mute button is not there, which is a coping mechanism. And look at her. I just stopped it. I don't even know she was going to have this body language. She's looking down, looking at her pencil, defeated, and she's like, "Man, this is not working. I'm way. I'm getting destroyed. All my points are getting destroyed. Look at her." And I literally just stopped it. I didn't even know she was going to have this body language.
Men don't want to get married to modern women
right,
if they're going to get divorced, and their women are going to put their children in an abusive situation, right? And that's what the stats show more than anything. Not that women are being abused, but that when they have authority over children, they are putting them in situations where they are abused or abusing them themselves. That's what's actually happening.
We do have to change prompts. Andrew, I think you wanted to perhaps discuss patriarchy and force doctrine.
Sure.
Would you like to get into that? Go ahead.
Yeah, you can start.
Yeah, so I'll give you my definition of patriarchy first.
No, I love
this
topic.
It's a historic definition. It means rule of the father. I often will short phrase this to from the father. Usually it operates around something which is patrilineal lineage rather than matrilineal lineage, though not always. You can have patriarchies where there's matrilineal lineage. You can find this in Judaism and other places like this. When I talk about patriarchy, I'm broadly speaking, at least in modernity and in the last 100 years, about men being in charge of general systems. We could just say men being in charge of general systems, head of the household, head of the family, things like this. My view is that patriarchy is always going to end up being the default, especially the more feminism there is. You'll push more people into the patriarchy role, and here's why. Because of force doctrine. Force doctrine is a doctrine which I came up with, which tries to describe a phenomenon which you yourself are going to have to concede is true. That half of the world right now, if men decide to...
Self-flow, you're saying that his whole argument is a false dichotomy. He claims it's a secular argument, but then he brings a moral, and all of a sudden you're wrong because you are not Christian. I don't know what you're talking about. Meaning, like, I guess I don't. You're talking about this debate because I don't think he really has used Christianity. He's gonna talk about Christianity now since the patriarchy, right? The argument, the patriarchy, is coming from the father, and that's a very common Christian theme.
They can basically exterminate every single woman inside of their nations, and there's not a damn thing women can do about it. We can find this in most of the Middle Eastern nations. We can find this basically anywhere that we look, right? They can't actually do anything about it. Also, when it comes to rights, rights are a social construction, product of the mind. Because of that, they are not inherent. And since this is the case, force is what is the practical applicator. And if men decided to, by force, take away women's rights, women cannot do anything about it. The opposite is not true. If women wanted to take away men's rights and men didn't want to let them, they could not. And because of this force doctrine application, women's rights all come from men, not inherently from themselves. Therefore, feminism is a lie, complete lie. That's force doctrine. I don't know if you had anything to say about it.
Well, aside from the fact that that is genuinely a terrifying idea, I think that the idea that men could just take away our rights and wipe us away is why feminism is necessary, is because we are trying to get enough men, I suppose, on our side, if you think about it in terms of like a military occupation, so that that wouldn't happen. Because I think that it is possible for men to take away our rights at a blanket pace. But I don't agree with your conclusion based off that premise, though. I don't believe that women...
So she just conceded that's a possibility. Isn't that crazy? And then she conceded that she will need men in her side to even defend that same ideology that she's trying to defend right now. See, this is all comes down to that, to this, guys. This is all it matters. Like, can your collective group, female group, defend your own ideology?
Inherently don't have rights that is given to us by men. And the reason why is because I believe that all human beings inherently should have equality and human dignity, which is although I'm not Catholic, it's a term that was very much focused on in my Catholic high school. I went to public school and then Catholic high school. But it's an axiom.
You're saying... I see what you're saying. I'm talking in general. His argument claim he doesn't need to explain too much of his view because he is making a secular argument. That's to say, I don't like the guy, he speak a lot of truth. Like, she's saying that, right? Wako, you're saying that it looks like he has a bunch of antagonistic points written down in order to create a first mover conflict oriented debate over points that are already well explored. And you're saying, you're saying, I also disagree with this. Yo, you guys are crazy, man. I'm not gonna even say that.
About human dignity.
It's just axiom.
I'm not gonna say that.
It's still like important though to me because I think that because the societies that we have created have necessitated the need.
I think the reason he doesn't want to put Christianity into the conversation because then it becomes a secular versus morality kind of argument right at the go. You see what I'm saying? You can get to it later on after admitting that okay, men are the monopoly in force. And then after that, you can sort of like determine why is that. Or out of the get-go, I don't think that's a good argument, though. Even if Andrew makes it.
Or have created the need for laws and for structure in government. And so there are many philosophers that have talked about how important it is to have government, right? But because of the fact that men can take it away does not mean that men thus give to us, right? Like men are not gods. It is something that is inherent to each of us that we should have the ability to live and self-govern, have autonomy. And I think the fact that men could take it away actually goes to my point about how a lot of them do, and a lot of them try to take our autonomy and make us feel unsafe and harm us, which you were previously refuting, but actually seems like you agree
look
with
at
me
her
on
body
that, though. It's
language. She's so defeated, man. And still, she's still inflating her voice just to make some kind of argument, I guess. But she's just defeated, guys. And she's just trying to just ramble and prattle and see if she can just land something. And sometimes she doesn't even make sense.
Possibility for men to do that.
No, it's descriptively true. I'm not giving an ought. I'm giving a descriptive reality.
But because it's a descriptive reality,
the truth is that you appealed to patriarchy.
I have no idea what I have not said. Appeal to patriarchy. What are you talking about?
When you said the whole goal is to get more men on our side, you're appealing to a patriarchy.
Well, it's not the whole goal, but is a goal. Yes, I should correct myself.
And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to appeal to the very demographic which can take away your rights at any time, conceding that if you do not have them on your side, you cannot maintain your rights. That is not ever true of men, which is why you'll always end up with a default patriarchy, especially the more feminist push. I don't know if you're looking at the modern world now.
It's the modern world, because it's not necessarily a default.
It's always going to be a default.
But in a lot of tribes, they were very matriarchal, and like women were at the head of the family.
There's never been a matriarchy in the world.
That is not true at all.
Give me one.
Okay,
no, she's going to try to go to ChatGPT, man. This ChatGPT moment that I call it. I remember seeing it for the first time. I'm like, man, this is so ChatGPT. She's about to add ChatGPT.
It's going to be an Indian tribe, and I'll refute it. Watch.
Well, indigenous people largely have.
It's going to be an Indian tribe, and I'm going to refute it.
I think you should just use the term indigenous.
I think you should just use the term Indian. I don't see any problem with it at all.
Oh, I think they do.
I don't think so. Indians themselves call themselves Indians often.
Indigenous people in the United States do not call themselves Indians.
Yes, they do. Just like black people call themselves black people, not African American. What are you talking about? Do you think that all black people call themselves African American?
This is a moot point, so I'm not going to even go into this with you.
Well, you're the one who wanted to tell police to say that I had to say Native American instead of Indian.
So basically, I'm pulling up the matriarchs for you. And there are obviously a number of societies that have thrived, and there's a whole document, but in China, in Costa Rica, the Bribri people.
Yeah, name one. Any of them that you think is a matriarchy.
Okay.
A matriarchal society.
They have a society with an estimated 12,000 to 35,000 members. That is a matriarchy. And that is BRI, Bribri in Costa Rica. Or you could look at there's a Kenyan tribe, that's UMOJA, that are all matriarchies. They have women at the helm that are leading their...
While the Bribri tribe society is often described as matrilineal, it's not actually a matriarchy. Women are the heads of households responsible for passing down culture and land, but the men have the most important role as the authority officers of the tribe. They are the ones who defend, and they have chiefs too, male chief. That's not a matriarchy.
Well, I found a different article. We could just go back and forth all day.
Yeah, let's look at it.
So the Bribri, this is the intercontinental cry. Bribri, I don't know if you speak.
What do you guys think about the phone stuff, man? I don't think phones should be even close to a debate stage. I think this is a way of just trying to defend it. So she probably just asking ChatGPT, man. That's what I think, because it sounds like she hasn't really. It sounds like she hasn't even internalized this. She's reading because that's the. I guess that's the answer that ChatGPT gave her, but she is not believing what she's reading.
Spanish, but Bribri un matriarcado moderno. So I speak a little bit, not like I'm not like.
Yeah, your Spanish suck. I'm sorry, your Spanish suck big time.
But anyways, and they're talking about how the clan structure means that tribal lineage is passed down through the mother.
Yeah, matrilineally.
Yes, and also in the home, I know the difference.
But if something is matrilineal, doesn't make it a matriarchy.
I know, but they're saying that women in this article play a primary role in government as well. And
yeah, but not. But see what you did there? You did a smuggle. They play a primary role in government. That doesn't make it a matriarchy.
But it's a system. Do you know what a matriarchy is, though?
Yeah, it would be women broadly in charge of all of the systems.
It's a system of social structure where they hold a lot of power.
They hold the majority power.
And that's
and the decisions of the men are at their behest in any.
But that's what the article just said of the Bree tribe.
No,
I don't know. Again, I just found a different
Listen,
article. So
any
like, I don't know if I should
matriarchy-
speak to like what's going on.
Any
'cause I haven't
matriarchy that
been
I've
there,
ever
but-
investigated, which is supposedly a matriarchy, we find very quickly that men are in the prominent positions of authority on force, which means that any
But do you
matriarchy
think that
is
means-
living at the behest of the men. That's it.
So is your point that men are better then because they have brute force? Or like what's your point
No,
that
my
men should be in
point-
charge governmentally?
No, my point is I'm not giving an ought. We have to agree first to a descriptor. The descriptive truth
Right,
is
okay.
that it is, in fact, the case that women have to appeal to men for all of their rights, period, by your own admission. That's why you're trying to get them on your side. Because if you don't have them, they can basically cage women up if they wanted to, and there's nothing women
Right,
could
but
do
that
about
doesn't
it.
mean that men are therefore better or should be in charge. Like I'm confused. Like what's the actual point? Like the conclusion that you're making
The
here?
point here is that men being in charge is obviously and clearly they're very benevolent because at any time they so choose, they can lock all women up. There's nothing they can do about it. And the reverse is not true, which is so interesting. You're literally at the mercy. Women are at the mercy globally and always have.
I know, Kino. You say I don't like phones, but if they need to look up something, then I guess, or they can do research on the topic and opponent. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, just do a little bit more study, man. I think that can help. That can really fix it because what happened is, then they get into a situation where what study, what link? I can't see it. Can you look at it? Like, and then all of a sudden, at least one of the debaters are trying to get away from the situation, right? They're not, instead of admitting, hey man, I don't know that study, I need to look it up, or for now I'll give you the point, I guess, right? But then they do this back and forward to the phone, what link? Can you send it? I don't see it. Like, it seems very disingenuous. Very disingenuous.
Have been of men, and yet we're monsterized and demonized by feminists. That's what we're literally
you're saying-
considered demons by feminists. You did it by your own admission today with your own stats, trying to make us out to be sexually assaulting monsters. Didn't even know the counter stats.
Didn't say that. Never.
Yeah,
said
that's
that
what
you
it
guys are-
appears
Yep.
to be, though, from
You
the
can, yeah, you're right.
onlookers' perspective.
I feel like you have these generic like talking points that you
Mm-hmm.
try to apply to feminists, but I haven't like really been very reactive or calling you names. I'm trying not to. I have, but
You have acted exactly like a feminist today, madame.
but,
Nobody's going to be confused
That's a
about that
name.
at all.
All right.
The whole snobbery.
I'm not insulted
towards,
by that.
The whole snobbery towards authority.
Yeah, you're right. Self, you're right, man. She being very dishonest. She's still trying to use sign language and trying to put shame and insults and guilt.
You're going to do what I want. The finger clap thing. You did the whole feminist trope, the entire thing.
Okay.
But what I would like is a refutation here.
can I speak now?
Can you agree?
I feel like it's my time
Can
a
you
little
agree
bit.
that it is the case
There we go,
that
guys.
women have to appeal to men for their rights and not the other way?
Well, women in the tribe own home and property, right? Of the tribe. Men own the right to war on the tribe. For the tribe, right? Well, it's just nesting. Women own the home on the property of the tribe. Well, basically, that's their job, right? They're nesting.
Way
I
around.
will
Yeah,
not-
Steph,
I
a
will
lot of
not
shame,
ever
man.
agree to the fact that we should appeal
Look
to
at
men
that.
for our rights. I
No,
think
no,
that is an
that they have
inherently
to.
misogynistic
They have to.
question. Have to?
Have to.
No. Do not
Okay,
agree.
well then where do rights come from?
They should be inherent to every
This is
person,
where
but
she
again, I
breaks
think I
down,
should be
man.
able to like
Inherent.
lead this.
You can make
Okay,
your, make
so
your
give me a
point.
second because again, like you've just been a little bit insulting the last few minutes, so I feel like when
There
that
you
happens,
go.
it's just like a good change of
Sign
pace is
language.
important. But
Well, I do need to keep it on the topic at hand, but
which again, where were we? Can
Rights.
you repeat the question?
Rights. I
were
asked you where
asking
rights come from.
where rights come from, if you can
Yeah.
address that
Okay, but then I get
or
to speak
respond.
more.
Yeah, you can.
Okay,
But it's
okay.
on forced doctrine
can
and rights.
respond.
Yeah.
She's
Go
just,
Okay.
yo.
Well, I think the fact
You
that we're
can
debating
tell that she's just trying to derail the conversation. That way she can come up with something. That she's trying to come up with something, guys.
topic that you came up with is a little bit strange personally, but I was
Why?
going to say that I think that rights are inherent. I think that they should be.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Self-law is saying, quote, and the whole elite crap, but I'm strong feminist woman live to come into men's spaces and tell men how they should be. And that, you know what's crazy? Self-law, and I have some theories about that, man. Not only that comes to this kind of environment, but that's also in sports, right? That's one. Social gatherings and politics. Right? It's like they want to go to men's spaces. That's why the men fly concept is occurring in the last 10 years. They want to go to men's spaces Men that are the one holding the company together leave, the company go bankrupt. But at the end of the day, these people are not even held accountable. So we go through these cycles, man. And Johnny said, don't forget, she said she spent 4 years in the uni studying this issue. And she can give a good account of feminism. She's naughty, sparky, and insulting cry about abuse at every comeback Andrew gives. Yeah. Corporate America as well. Yeah, man. I was working for Corporate America before I started doing YouTube, man. Both of these people are extremely distant from any situation that would mandate their cooperation. I don't think so, Wacko. I don't think so. I think she is the product of lies, man. She's a product of just indoctrination. No way you spend 4 years in college and act like this. No way.
Related to all people, just like the fact that we are human beings.
And also now 150 IQ, that means that you probably have the intelligence to control your emotions.
Shouldn't have to appeal to any
I'm not
person
saying
for
this
authority.
correlated, but
And again, the fact that men are stronger, bigger, more powerful doesn't mean that they give or take away people's rights. I'm not religious necessarily, but I think if I was, I would probably tell you that I think God is the person that, you know, relates and who gives people their human dignity and rights. But I think it's inherent. I think that we should all have the.
Wacko, you're saying wisdom comes not from age, but from education or learning. But that means that she has more education than Andrew. She should have more wisdom, you see? But that's not the case. She just saying she has 150 IQ, read about 100 books a year. Like she is about to do a graduate degree, I guess. Like she's not. I don't think this is a good argument, man.
The right to live and be free of violence. And I think that those who offend and try to put people in cages, those are the people that should be jailed. Like, I don't think that that's a blanket statement.
Yeah. So I would just, okay, you keep on saying rights should be inherent. That doesn't tell me anything about where rights come from. Where do rights come from? Where do we ascribe rights?
Well, I think that
ourselves?
you're thinking very like United States, like government centric.
Anywhere.
Exactly.
Anywhere on planet. I don't
So basically, yeah, you're right, Selfless. Basically, just an ego trip, man.
care where you pick.
Okay.
And it's sad because I actually have a master's degree in music performance and classical music, guys. And minor degree in education. And, you know, it does help. Don't get me wrong. Education does help, right? But you have to get your hands dirty as well to make it, you know, something.
Where
So-
are rights coming from?
They are coming from the set of people that are in charge, the
Okay.
government. And to your point, that's the patriarchy.
There
However,
you go. End of the argument. That's it.
I agree.
Okay.
So I concede to that point. However, I'm saying that does not mean that men, since they create the ability to give people like rights and take it away, that doesn't mean that men it should be that way. It shouldn't. I don't know if that makes
So
sense.
men have been guaranteeing your rights the entire time you've been alive.
No, that's definitely not true.
Well, I don't understand. I thought that you just
But
said
also, like-
rights come from the government.
but also,
The government
like-
is the patriarchy. The
but-
patriarchy then is giving you rights, right?
Right, but like the government isn't
Correct.
inherently the government is influenced by
Heartbender, you're right. You can get muscles and not know how to use them. Yeah, you can be a huge bodybuilder, guys. But then when it's time to use those muscles, you don't know how to use them. If you're not doing boxing, martial art, karate, taekwondo, you know, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, those muscles are nothing.
patriarchy, but it's not like all men making decisions like in the past it was.
Would you say it's mostly in charge by men?
Yeah, but again, like I think that your points that you're making are very misogynistic. Like I think the point of what you're saying
Listen.
is like we should be grateful to
I think the points you're making are very misandrist. I mean, that doesn't tell us
but I don't hate
anything.
men, so that's not a very good
I don't hate
insult.
women.
Okay, but your question inherently is rooted in the fact that you think that there is male superiority and that men are in charge.
Descriptively, men are stronger than women, yeah? Descriptively.
Yes,
There you go,
You're not
that's
going
it.
to argue that point, right?
on average, I suppose. Yeah,
Yeah, on average. Well, I mean, it's a strong average, though.
sure.
Yeah, like, I mean, you know, teenage soccer teams are beating,
Yeah, she has, Johnny, you're right. She conceded to a lot of points. Even to this one, she's keep conceding. That's why she's just breaking down. Yeah, you're right.
you know, female pro player teams, right?
Sure,
You agree
yes.
that that's the case? Okay, great. So if that's the case, and we can agree, and you agree that the
Well, hold on, Stefano. You're right. I was a professor teaching ultrasounds of the heart, specializing in pediatric congestional heart failure. Damn. Heart disease, I'm sorry. I no longer do that because of feminists like this. No way, really? So what happened? They changed the culture, a lot of toxicity. If you want to go a little bit deeper, just give me like a little, inside baseball. That'll be great.
The governments of the world are patriarchal, then you have to concede that the patriarchy is giving you your rights.
You know what's crazy? I was on Hardbender. You're saying that I was upset. This is the best they could get to debate Andrew, but honestly, it's great because it shows how weak they are. I'm telling you, Hardbender, I don't think it's females are the problem, guys. It's male feminists. Male feminists are the one protecting the ideology. Yeah, because they cannot. Females like her cannot protect this ideology with logic, guys. Unless it's in a very controlled environment, like colleges, school, TikTok, mute button. When it meet with reality, they just go down and just break down, guys.
Right now.
I will never concede that. And the reason why is because I think that is rooted in the idea that women should be grateful. Like, you're telling me that I should essentially be grateful to you for the fact that I'm not in a cage right now and that someone's not assaulting me as we speak. Like, that does not mean that I should be grateful to you. How about just your right
to free speech and the fact that it's enforced by men? The patriarchy is the ones giving you that by your own admission.
Listen, so my theory is the way it should be. This is what I think. This is the way that it was before we had colonization and all the imperialism and stuff. There's a blanket statement, right? Or there's a blanket right to life, to autonomy, to all these things, right, that are just given to you by the nature of being human. And there are certain entities and people and oppressive regimes that then come in and they try to take those things away from you.
Yeah, now, warring tribe theory.
Well, because they give you those things, or because the government gives you the right to exist now, right, doesn't mean it's a benevolent doesn't mean the patriarchy is benevolent because it is currently giving me these rights and I'm not like sitting and trapped in my house like I am in a different country.
What would make it malevolent?
Damn, bro.
What would make it malevolent?
Yo, Steflo, sorry to hear that, man. That's very common. That's very common, and actually, I do have theories on why females do that. They're looking for ways to put people down, man, and make sure they can just get elevated. The studio is located in Santa Barbara in California.
Places like
I'm
like
talking about here in the United States, which is a patriarchy by your own admission, giving you rights. What would make it malevolent?
I think that there are a lot of current things that are malevolent, like in legislation and things like that are, like attacks on bodily autonomy and like the overturning the Dobbs decision or the.
But you would consider your First Amendment a benevolent right, your Third Amendment, your Fifth Amendment.
I think these things are all inherent. Like I don't understand. Like just because it's written in by the government doesn't mean that it should inherently be.
It can't be benevolent. Listen, that's a contradiction. You can't say it's inherent and
Correct.
The government gives them to us.
No, the government.
That's a contradiction.
The government does, but it does.
Yeah, they go straight for the reputation, and even though that was a lie, the fact that they put that seal in your back, you're done.
Doesn't mean anything. Like we should already have these things. Like just like if I.
How do you have them? How do you have them absent a government?
Being, you should just be able to walk around and be free.
How do you have that without force? How? How is it even possible?
I think you're looking at it through a lens of like imperialism, and I don't think that like force was always necessary. It hasn't always been necessary to conquer other people.
Why do you keep saying I'm looking at it through a lens of? I literally told you my lens of force doctrine, explained it descriptively. It has nothing to do with imperialism. It has to do with this. You're walking around and there's no government. If you're walking around, there's no government. Where do your rights come from then?
Okay, this is just like such a silly question.
Please answer the question.
Okay, so if there's no government and I'm walking...
They need to be right. What's the last one, the sign language? They need to be right. This is her not wanting to say, you know what, you're right. She still want to be right, guys, even though it's obvious that the right come from men. Sadly, that's how it is, because they have the monopoly of force. Even when they passed the 19th Amendment, they had to appeal to men to pass it. Like, even as simple as that, she cannot give that W to Andrew.
So, if there's no government and I'm walking around, my right to be alive, my right to find a partner.
Can someone come around and kill you?
Yes, but in that case, there have historically always been ways of punishing people who take those away. So the people who take them away are like offenders.
Hold on, just let her finish.
A government? Go ahead.
Hold on, Andrew. Okay. Go ahead.
The people who take those things away from you, if they don't decide to take it away, it doesn't mean that they're good. right? So like,
Okay, whatever
a
that means,
really
huh?
horrible example that for a lot of women is true is if I am a woman and I have not had intercourse with anybody and a man is my friend and he decides that he's not going to take my virginity from me, does that mean he is a good person inherently by not assaulting me? No, it doesn't, because that should be the standard, right? And so if someone comes in and they take it away and then they tell me that they can or they can't in the future, right? That's essentially to me what you're saying is just because the government is giving me the right to walk around and have this conversation with you today means that I should be thankful and I should, not be concerned with things, and that you guys are actually benevolent. The patriarchy is benevolent because I'm not in a cage, because I'm not being assaulted.
Yeah, that's not what's
Okay,
being
whatever
So
that.
that is-
Anyway,
She just
can you
said a
answer my
bunch of
question
nothing.
though? If there's no government, where do your rights come from?
I think we've already been over this. I think you've asked me quite a few
you didn't actually
times.
answer listen, what you did was
I've already told you human
What-
dignity, so.
Human dignity, you can't account for dignity in a secular worldview. What is dignity? It's just whatever you think dignity is. So tell me this real quick. You have rights. They're
Okay,
inherent.
are you talking about legal, moral, or human? Let's omit legal.
Yeah, that's
right?
correct,
Because
Johnny.
I'm talking about in a hypothetical
Literally
society.
any.
Yeah, she's trying to get that one moment gotcha, and then she's just mixing it up with sign language. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
That's what it
moral
is.
and human rights.
Yeah.
And for me, it's
Yeah.
rooted in the
100%.
philosophical natural law.
Natural
theory.
law is Catholic. You don't believe in Catholicism. You would have to have God to back up natural law.
Okay, but that is what I developed my beliefs around because I used to believe in
No,
God.
that's it. If you don't appeal to God for your natural rights, you're making a naturalist fallacy.
Okay, I believe in
That's a
God.
fallacious argument.
How do you know that I don't believe in God?
Because you told me.
Okay, well, I think this is like a really ridiculous.
Why is it ridiculous? So where do you get your rights from if they're not from God?
Okay, so again, I still subscribe to the human rights theory, which is
ChatGPT, guys.
Universal Declaration of Human Rights. If we're not going to go,
Yo,
talk,
this is some ChatGPT stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's where I was confused. Says Flo, because she's bringing Christianity here. She's bringing the Christianity to just make a point, but at the same time, she doesn't believe in Christianity, which is weird. She's
talk about
not
God
wrong
or
anyway.
naturalism,
Yeah,
right?
I guess
Which
so.
is that every human being has universal, inalienable rights that are fundamental to each person.
Yeah.
And so this is what, the UN subscribes to and stuff like that, regardless of whether there is a government in place or not. So is that sufficient to you?
No, that's an axiom. So all you're just saying is, I think we have inherent rights because I think we have inherent rights.
I think we have inherent rights because we are human beings who deserve to be treated with compassion, love, and respect. And I don't think you think that. So
Yeah, but
that's pretty wild.
But the question comes
Yeah,
in
you're
here.
right.
Let's say that a group of people doesn't believe in these inherent human rights, right? They don't believe in them.
I mean, there are definitely groups that have.
Yeah, they just don't believe in these inherent.
But for certain people.
Yeah, they just don't. So what is it that protects those inherent rights for you?
Well, you're right. There is typically like a system in place of.
Force?
It's not force per se.
All force, right?
But
name anything that's
but
not
like
force
there's a
that
way to like
Oh my God.
isolate those people
By force. How do you
Wait, what?
isolate?
Force?
Yeah.
I mean,
How do you isolate somebody? Even if you blow them, right? You're still using some kind of force. You have to use force.
not necessarily. Not
What
every
else could you
arrest is
isolate
made
them
through
with
force.
if they don't want to be isolated?
Well, not every arrest is made through force, right? Like they might.
Yeah,
just,
well, actually, all arrests are made through the implicit threat of force. Either you come with me or else, right?
Sure.
So that would be force, right? You would agree?
Yeah,
with that?
that's what he's doing, Hardbender. He's just listening. The reason he doesn't go to the jugular very quick because he wants to extract them. That's what it is. He extract them and just destroy their ideology. Per se, yeah.
The implicit.
Yeah, I mean, just this inherent topic to me is very, just like violent and seems like a moot point. Like,
Violent,
I
guys.
mean, I'm
Ooh.
kind of. I feel like we
Violent.
talked this through.
No, I haven't talked it through yet.
But you can continue. I mean, I don't really have much else to say
Yeah, I
on
know,
this.
but
I've already
it's a
clarified.
critique of your worldview so that we can
Let's
understand
go.
who you're appealing to for these so-called
Let's
rights you
go.
believe everybody has. In this case,
Sure.
it sounds like you're banking on force from men to protect your rights.
I'm not
How are you
banking on
not?
that.
How are you not banking on the force of men to protect your rights if you say they're inherent, but all these inherent rights require force?
Well, also men is a generalization. I mean, again, there are a lot of people who are currently working to enforce the system of government that we have. It's not just men, but okay.
They all rely on male force, don't they?
I
That's
just
crazy,
told
man.
you that wasn't true. I mean,
Okay, can you tell me how that's not true? Like,
Well-
what agency of government doesn't rely on male force?
No. My point is, it's not all exclusively men. There are men and women and everyone else as well that work to protect people here. Like,
yeah.
like in the army, it's not like if you're using force, right? The army isn't just male troops. So like you're saying male.
Yeah, there's women who aren't allowed in combat for the most part, almost ever, unless it's by accident, who are in the military as paymasters and things like this, but they're not the executors of force. There's not female armies being fielded to protect people's rights.
I'm not super interested in this line of questioning because it just seems like
Why do you
inherently
think I
misogynistic.
Yo,
question.
she's touching everything. She's touching the notebook. She's touching her face. She's just looking around. She's looking for ways to rescue herself. I don't
You're
think
interested in it. I want to know the worldview.
I think you care because like it's your podcast and like I'm kind of ready
Okay,
to
well,
move
you know
on.
what? In your next argument, I'll just say, well, I'm just not very
crazy,
interested.
man.
Okay,
Like,
then I'll
what does
just
that
talk
do?
about my
Like,
points.
what does that do?
Well, you're not really letting me talk or like,
I'm just asking you basic questions. You refuse to answer them. That's it. I just wish you would actually answer the questions, and then we could get somewhere, but you just refuse to. I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? And you're like, well, I just explained it, when he didn't actually explain anything. And then we get to the root of it. So what you keep doing is appealing to patriarchy for your rights by saying, I would never say I appeal to patriarchy for my rights. You say, hey, I want to
Bro,
appeal
this
to
is
men.
crazy,
we need
bro.
men in order to protect us from the patriarchy.
Just imagine having her as a wife, man. You have to deal with this every day. This is a secure divorce, man. You're securing a divorce with this. And she will probably play the system, talk with her lawyer like 2 years before the divorce kind of thing. This right here. Big or small, strong or weak, overestimating yourself is going to be your downfall. Yeah, good point.
Which means you're appealing to men for your rights. It seems like it's a big circle, so I'm just trying to decipher it out. That's it. That's it. Okay, I'm not gonna engage anymore. All right.
I already told you I just don't have anything else to say on this. So I feel like we've had a good conversation. I mean, I've enjoyed hearing.
see
what
what
you
you're
have to
saying,
say,
Steph.
but I just don't have.
Yeah,
anything
well, I
else.
mean, I would have enjoyed, actually critiquing the View, but since you don't make the View
You already
available,
have for like the last 15 minutes.
you've just been very evasive, and you've been very unwilling to actually answer questions, even when you've contradicted yourself. You want to acknowledge it. So.
Okay, well, we can take a little.
Yeah, I'll have a smoke.
There's more prompts, but we'll take some audience questions. There's some super chats that we can get to. So
Yep.
we have, let's see, we have Just Gerald here with the $100 super
Just Gerald
Streamlabs
donated
message.
$100.
Thank you.
When women say, I wish I would have gone to school or focused on a career instead, I hear, my children are preventing me from freedom. If only
That's
these
crazy.
kids weren't alive, I could be happy.
All right, Just Gerald.
And you know what's it's always females that want to say that. Imagine a guy saying that. Oh man, I wish I went to school, not take care of my kids and my family. Society will change you for that. Because you have a duty, right? You have a duty to provide and protect. However, the duty of females is not taken into the consideration because we don't want to hurt their feelings. We don't want to hurt their feelings. And that's what feminism managed to achieve. Not holding females accountable with their, how do they call it again? Duties. They took the duties out of their equation and just let them be happy with no duties. And even if they're wrong, still society will not hold them accountable. And that's dangerous, guys. That's very dangerous. Because then you don't want your daughters to be divorcing left and right. You don't want your sons to be the victim of those divorces. You don't want that to happen.
Gerald, thank you for that. Appreciate it. All right. And if you guys are enjoying the stream, be sure to like the video, please.
Like the video, guys.
Make sure to... if you're watching on Twitch, go to twitch.tv/whatever. Drop us a follow and a Prime sub. And, that's weird. Did that not go through? Okay. Going to get the soup chats here. We have Cole Marshall. Why would anyone... This is from earlier. This came in.
I saw this. That's funny.
Why would anyone care if you leave? Who are you? You're supposed to be defending your worldview. W. Andrew from Cole.
Yep.
Thank you, Cole, for the super chat. Do you want to respond to this? Or
Oh, sure. Yeah. My name's Kylie.
See, that's an argument against Christian ethic. Yeah, the thing about the argument about Christian ethic, let me just give you this. Let's say that you have multiple generations, right? Multiple generations, and those ethics become new ethics through generation. But you say that those new generation will have the same ethics? That's the question. You're saying also, we need to teach our son how to treat women and daughters how to treat men. Yeah, 100%. Especially daughters, right? They have to learn. They're taking men for granted. That's the thing. They're really taking men for granted. I think showing them that you should respect men, right? Respect women, respect yourself. Like, show them respect to themselves, but also show them respect towards men.
I'll
be right back. I'm
like
gonna
an
take a
up and
piss.
coming like activist type person. I feel like I have my goal here was to educate just about feminism generally. So I'm sorry if that hasn't like held up to your standards. But yeah, if I do leave, I think the debate would end. So I think that might be why people would care. But anyways, thank you for your comment.
We have Chaotic Fuzz. Why are you letting her hold the debate hostage? She's being a child saying, if I don't get my way, I'll leave. It's disrespectful to the platform and listeners.
I think it's disrespectful to be talked down to the way I am. So that is why it's not just about like leaving and holding the platform hostage. It is rather a fact of protecting my integrity, and I will never let myself be in a place where I feel unsafe or like I'm being belittled. So if that does happen and continues to happen, I will leave. And it's not a reflection of, the platform or anything. It's just like for me as well. So.
Okay. We have Lucas here. Ma'am, kindly address your emotional dysregulation. It's unimpressive, but more importantly, a telltale sign of an intellectual mediocrity flailing away. Wow, a lot of big words here, Lucas. In the undertow of cognitive dissonance, fallacious logic, and ultimately a fully metastasized mind virus. Do you want to respond to that from Lucas?
Sure. Lucas, it sounds like you pulled out your thesaurus for this, so congratulations on that. But I would like to say my IQ is relatively pretty high. I'm not going to like talk about where I went to an Ivy League, but that doesn't matter. If you disagree with me, you're going to hate what I have to say regardless of whether I'm intelligent or not intelligent. So, but thank you for watching regardless.
Thank you, Lucas, for the message. Little Miss Feminist isn't interested in debating, only educating. Bad faith debate. Do you want to respond to that? Thank you, Rezel, for the soup chat.
For me, like a debate is about exchange of knowledge. So if it doesn't become that, and it feels more like an ad hominem attack on me, I just will not talk.
What a debate is to me is the refutation of ideas, or it can be the sharing of knowledge, also the refutation of ideas. We're here to debate feminism. The idea of debating feminism. I'll even grant 1 point that my opponent got, which was me dunking on me, right? Was that I confused the Mankind Initiative with the Mankind Project, right? So that's one thing. One thing I even did, right?
Appreciate
I
it.
dunked on myself, right? By misspeaking on one of these things. So there's a concession, but here's what I won't do. What I won't do is let you cross your arms and throw a fit and refuse to engage. When you go, no, I'm just not going to engage anymore. It's like, well, then we're not having a debate anymore. So I'd like to get back to the actual debate. And I'd like to
I
continue
really don't have as much of a stake in this as you do. So I'm genuinely,
I don't have any stake.
If we end right now, I'm more than happy. I'm so serious. I would go and lay out in the sun, enjoy the farmer's market. I'm here.
Wow, hey, just go, lady. We don't give a damn. At this point, Brian already got his money from the show. At this point, you have to let it go.
So why did you come to a debate if you're unprepared to debate?
Oh, because no, I'm not unprepared. I thought we were gonna have more of an exchange, and this feels more like an attack. So that.
Self, you say, we are here to deflate feminism, but brings Christianity because that's his worldview, right? And in some instance, it's gonna come, right? That's his worldview. So in some weird way, throughout this debate, even when it comes down to ethic, it has to come through that. That's how he just move around this. But I see what you're saying.
That's why I'm not having very much fun.
I mean, look, I don't think that's a fair characterization of the exchange you guys
Finally,
had.
Brian.
There was a slightly...
It's open to interpretation,
There was a slightly heated moment exchange from both of you at the beginning of the show. I think it's okay. We're going to continue on with the conversation. Allow me to we have about 3 chats coming through, and then we'll get back to the debate. Rachel Wilson says, this is, by the way, this is Andrew's wife here.
Oh.
Nobody's
Hello.
talking down to you, princess. Uh-oh, she wants to do a call-in. Do you want to talk to Andrew's wife?
She's afraid. She ain't going to do it.
I don't know, but okay. Andrew is just beating your arguments easily, and you feel embarrassed, so you're pretending he's insulting you. Okay. Thank you, Rachel, for that. Appreciate it. Donner, page 199, section 6.3 of the NIS-4 shows all the stats Andrew pointed out about female perpetrators. Anyone in chat can look it up. All right, thank you for that.
Even though she said she looked it up in 2 seconds, even though there's no
missed
Yeah, I know
way.
why.
Somebody says unmute. Okay,
Well,
thank you,
IQ.
Andrew. I'm
Yeah,
not sure what's
that's-
going on with that, but we have two chats coming here, and then we'll come back to the debate. So we have, one sec, we have Glocktavius. Thank you, Glocktavius.
Glocktavius donated $100. Kylie, you said you have a high IQ. What's your IQ?
I haven't taken an IQ test in a while, but when I was a child, they had me evaluated for having a high IQ because I was like talking really young and all these things. But the last time I took a test, I think it was like around a 150, but I don't.
She said 150, guys. She said 150. 150.
know.
Crazy.
Currently, it was a while ago.
150?
Yeah.
That's
150.
genius level.
And I know you're going to say I'm not, so it's like funny, but I know you probably think it's ironic.
I didn't
but
say anything.
Yeah,
I just said
basically,
that
Wacko, that's what
considered
she's saying.
genius level.
Thank you.
He was about to congratulate you.
Thank you,
Oh,
Johnny.
sorry.
Make sure you
I'm on the
subscribe
defense
and
a
like,
little
guys.
bit, but thank
really
you. I
appreciate
appreciate it, Andrew. I appreciate it.
Poor me, I just have an average IQ.
Okay,
Literally,
we have
average IQ.
And you know what? Look, here's a little, a lot of the super chats been a little mean. YOLO Swaggins says you're hot.
Thank
so
you.
if it's any,
Bro,
Thank you, YOLO
what the hell?
Swaggins, for that. That does actually make me feel nice.
Thank you.
So.
Oh, Sims. I need my Sims. I need my Sims. That made me feel so good. She basically telling Brian and please treat me like that.
YOLO Swaggins. And then final chat here, then we'll get back to the debate.
Yeah, right?
Six-pack Chad donated
150, yeah.
$100.
Chad.
I
That's a
didn't
nice-
go to school for 4 years to be talked to like this. The girl boss can't handle the big meanie Andrew. You are the most insufferable broad I've ever seen on this show, including the hookers.
Damn, bro.
We have had a couple hookers.
Yeah, I've actually had that said to me quite a few times. So I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm glad you like Andrew and like you guys have that sort of connection. I think it's important to have
Sign
people that you
language
look
is
up to in
crazy
content
in
and
this.
stuff.
And so getting back to the
Yeah,
debate.
you're right. Intelligence relative. Although IQ does determine the way you can process some of the information. You can process the information. You want your society to have a 94 plus IQ. The reason you want that is because you want things to be fixed quicker. And that's what they determine IQ is. How fast can your society process or individual process information and just, get as much as out of it, right? That's why certain jobs are okay with people that are 80 IQ, 70 IQ. That's what I know about IQ. I'm not a huge expert on it, but I know IQ determines how fast people can process information, right, and look for solutions. But again,
Andrew,
it's a skill that can be learned.
did you
by
want
the
to
way.
continue on with the force doctrine
I
conversation?
do. But I need you to actually engage with my inquiry. The reason I'm giving you, maybe I can
I thought we were going to switch
explain it.
topics. Oh, we're staying on this one?
So the
Well,
thing,
I think he wanted to just finish
Yeah,
it.
we
but
weren't done with
we'll
it.
respond soon.
Okay.
yeah. So the reason I want you to engage with it
not
is
liking
because
that topic.
it's a falsifier for your worldview.
Okay.
And
Sure.
if you refuse to engage, it looks like you're just refusing to allow the falsifier for your worldview. So can we get, if we can get back to it, I'd like to. By question
Yeah, that's true, Self-Flow. She said that 150 when I was a kid, whatever. Really, I'm not sure. Like, come on, if you took an IQ and you know for a fact, they probably told her that, and she just ran with it for years. She probably ran with it for years.
starts with inherent rights. You claim that they're inherent, and I'm asking you, if the government's not giving them to you, and God's not giving them to you, where are they coming from?
That's a good question. So if we just existed, there was no government, and I was an atheist, I would, in theory, have the ability, the right to walk around freely, to make myself food, to do all these things without the fear of violence. But if violence did happen, then we would have to create.
How would you, in theory,
Because I believe that communities
just walk around without any threat of violence?
Because there were plenty of communities that have done that.
Does a rabbit have the ability to walk around without any threat of violence inherently?
No, but I'm not a rabbit.
Yeah,
so
I know. But the thing is like, why not? Why doesn't the rabbit have that?
Yeah, what's
Because
up
they're
with the
predators.
Sims, man?
So what would our predator be? Are you saying men are the predators?
Well, or women, or
but if men are the predators,
Yeah.
that goes against everything we talked about in
or
the first half of the
women,
debate.
or women. Did you hear that part? Or women. Like, women can assault you. Doesn't require a man, doesn't require a penis for somebody to assault you. So the thing is like, if it is the case then that the rabbit has no inherent rights because there's predators or people who would be predatory, or even if we said that there would be some men who would be predatory even, how do you have this right to walk around unmolested and the rabbit does not?
So you are wanting me to say that we have to enforce it, right? Which we do.
I'm just asking
But I
for
don't
your
think we have
answer.
to enforce it through like physical force. I think we can enforce it through like words and like being able to like speak to each other.
Oh
and,
my
like,
The rabbit
God,
screams
yo,
and the
there you
coyote
go.
doesn't care.
And the delusional statements just are starting to come through. At this time, she already lost it, guys. Through words, man. We can enforce this through words. Oh my God. There you go, the 150 IQ, I guess. For such a high IQ, she can't seem to listen to what is actually said. Yeah. Yeah, and high IQ people, they tend to be very emotionally regulated. And one of the exercises to just improve some of your IQ is to make sure you can even regulate your emotions. So
if it's the
I don't
case
know
that
how
people
you
don't
have
care
150
about whatever the
can't
wolves don't
regulate
care
your
about what the
emotions.
rabbit says, right? They don't care about the rabbit screams. Does the rabbit have rights?
if the wolf doesn't care if the rabbit screams, does the rabbit have rights?
Yeah.
Is an interesting question. I suppose.
The rabbit has the right to not get eaten by the wolf?
But like again, I mean, I think most people would agree that there is a fundamental distinction between humans and animal societies. So I don't understand how
but
it's relevant to my point.
In this case, the equation would just be a rabbit is a biological walking being, right? And so is a wolf. The rabbit does not have the right not to get eaten by the wolf. What gives you any inherent right to not be in any way assaulted, molested, undignified, or whatever? If it is the case that people want to do this to you, what is the inherent right there?
Right. I could ask you the same thing.
Yeah, but why don't you answer the question, then ask yours?
No. I'm saying like I could ask. Sorry. Figuratively, I could ask you the same thing in terms of like what would give you the right to walk around and to like be respected and have your wife Rachel talk to you and
force.
But I don't think it has to be. I think historically a lot of it has been forced, but I don't think it has to be. I think there exists an egalitarian society where we can all collectively have the ability, and they used to just.
I don't even disagree with this.
Right, but
can this happen?
But they used to just expel people out of the community, and they wouldn't be able to survive without the community. Like they would die, and so that's not necessarily, in my opinion, force.
Yeah, it's forced. They can't go back to the community, so people are forcing them out, right?
But it's not like a physical force.
It's physical force. It's backed up by physical force. Why can't you go back into the community? What happens?
Well, there's also the emotional component of like ignoring the person, not giving them food.
God.
It's not.
And this is what they talk about, moving the world through the female lens. They don't understand how these things really work, guys. And I think it's because I don't know about you guys, but throughout my life, I fought a lot when I was a kid. I'd be in martial arts, spirit sports, hit myself. Like there's a concept that I understand of pain and hierarchies, right? And I think that experience is very important because it just show you that life is all about hierarchies. And inside those hierarchies, there's something called pain. And if you do certain things wrongly, pain will come after it, right? It can be emotional pain or physical pain. I don't think she understands that, guys. I don't think she understands that the reason that we have situated this system is because we do understand, men, we do understand if we don't have a system that is just regulated by force, this thing will go downhill quick. we will be living in the cave ages, right? Just with arrows and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just common sense for a man. For a man, that's a common sense. For the female lens, this is what you get right here. We can enforce things through word. That's why when they go and just pass law, they think that magically that law is going to just change things. A law that is written in a piece of paper means nothing if that paper does not have the force behind it. Yeah, you're right.
People did. They didn't ignore them. They said, if you come back here, there's going to be consequences, right? Otherwise, that's not really a banishment.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Self-Lord. Yeah, people with high IQ tend to process information more deeply, and they can't even recognize the holes of those arguments. Yeah, she can't. She's just spewing a lot of stuff.
I mean, what would stop them from just walking in and being like, you can ignore me, but I'm going to take your food and whatever I need to survive?
Sure. But the point being, for me, I believe that because those types of societies are possible to exist, right, without the physical threat of force and having to put people in cages and kill people to preserve the social order, then therefore, I think that we should not have to have a patriarchy or a matriarchy.
Yeah,
I think we should just be able to exist in the right, because that the rights come within us.
I agree that you can have all sorts of different arrangements for how a society is arranged.
But I'm saying because of those things, then...
Yeah, but that doesn't give us the answer here for why it is that the rabbit doesn't have the right to not get eaten by the wolf, but you have the right to not get assaulted by another human being. What gives you that right? I
mean, I don't think I'm going to at any point give you the answer that you're looking for.
I'm just looking for the answer.
Disagree.
What you said is because future societies can look different. That doesn't tell me anything.
That's really not like what I was saying. I was also drawing from the past. But I mean,
she's
personally,
so nervous,
I think
man.
That... Sorry, the problem here is that
nervous cough.
We have seen we've seen the patriarchy as something that should be either seen as malevolent or benevolent, and I don't think that it should be classified as something that we need, generally speaking. I think there are systems of organization where we don't have to rely upon men.
Can I try this?
Because that seems to be what you're trying to get at.
Let me try a different way. Can you repeat my question to me so I know that you understand what my question is?
Yeah, that's it, guys.
No. I would just, I mean, again...
Can you repeat my question to me so I know you understand what it is? Please.
I'm getting real close to...
Why? Because you won't answer this question.
No, I am answering in a way that you don't find satisfactory.
I'll say, what do you want to eat tonight? And you go, margarine hat. It's like, it doesn't tell me nothing.
But you're asking me the question repetitively
because you won't answer it.
No. I won't answer it in the way that you want.
No, you just won't answer it, period. Listen, do you think it's a fair answer for you to say, how tall are you? And I say 83? Is that an answer?
Well, I don't need an answer from, like, I'm not demanding. I am not someone who, you're looking at me like I have to answer you. Like, just because I'm here doesn't mean I have to do anything.
What are you doing in a debate if you won't answer questions about your worldview?
I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be here, right? Like promotion.
Answering questions.
There we go. She admitted it. There we go. She admitted it right there. There's a lot of reason why you could be in a debate. Promoting your videos, your brand. There you go. That was her mission. Right there. That was her mission. Do you guys think she did a good job promoting her brand? I don't think so. I do not think so. Money. Yeah, you're right, Wacko. This is all about money, man. Has nothing to do with the truth. Has nothing to do with whether or not we want to move society forward.
Do you think you're promoting your brand well when you won't answer questions about your worldview?
I mean, that's subjective, and I have been answering questions.
You haven't. What you've done is every single time I ask you this question, right, you appeal to something that doesn't answer it. You say, well, there could be future
According
society.
to you.
Okay, sure. I'll tell you what.
But I've given you the answers.
I'll tell you what. Let's try this.
That's why you're trying to force me into a corner that I don't have the answers.
Let's try this. Let's try this instead, right? Because when people do this all the time, they say, I am answering the question when they're not answering any question at all. Can we just try this? Can you just give me a real quick summary? Where do rights come from?
Okay, so I think that, and you're going to say, but you don't believe in God. But I'm going to give you, because this seems to be the only naturalist, or the only explanation you will accept from me is the naturalist explanation. I think that they are inherent. And let's say human beings are God, right? Like some people believe that each person has an essence that belongs to God. So let's say that. So therefore, it's inherent. It comes from God. We are God. I believe that each person is made up of a collective that could be considered like a human spirit. So yes.
But you don't believe in God.
But a human spirit to me is God. So I think that each person has the ability to self-govern, and those rights are given to us by ourselves, because
Wait
whether we're God or not.
Okay. The rights come from us. Okay.
Yes. So, and that's coming from the humanist perspective.
So rights come
She's
from
gonna ChatGPT
you,
it
the
again.
individual. That makes, okay, that's at least an answer. So rights come from individuals. So how do individuals then, if they grant themselves these rights, keep them?
By communication and compassion. I'm an optimist, so ideally we don't have to use force.
And somebody
This
does
is
not
crazy,
want
bro.
to agree with you and says, I don't care what you say, what happens then?
So, okay, I will concede your point that to preserve the order,
To preserve rights,
sure.
you would
then
have to appeal to force.
then
You have to, guys.
there are occasional needs for force. Sure.
Okay, well, let me make this...
Because I know that's what you're trying to
Let me make this even
get me to say.
wider. Let me make this even wider. I don't believe that you can name any type of governmental system or any type of anything in which force is not going to be the backer for what the establishment is, period. I don't even think it's possible. Like, how could it even be possible
Okay,
that you're not
so
always
let's
appealing
say
to force?
let's say I concede. Then what's your point? Like relating back to
My point is
men are
that
the
you're
enforcers.
you're always going to be appealing to men for your rights.
But why do men have to be the enforcers? Like, let's say your force, like force doctrine,
Because
yes.
women can't overpower men. Only men can.
But weapons exist. So, like, what if
And
women?
who's better with weapons? And who makes weapons?
Okay, but what if like women somehow took over all the weapons?
Yeah, that's
and
what I'm
going
saying,
into this
like-
hypothetical, right?
Sure.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Women take over all the weapons. We teach each other how to use it.
Sure.
And
Good luck
men-
with that. Yeah. Good luck with that. I'm not saying they don't have the intelligence. They do have the intelligence. Learn all those things that men can. At what pace? At what strength? Like, you need to have strength. You need to have communication. Even if you do that, it's gonna take you years to achieve, guys. Between men, we already know testosterone kicks in quick. All of a sudden, that skinny, nerdy guy become a Hulk because testosterone kicks in. Like, they don't understand that. And yeah, Cesar Naranjo, yeah, when she goes to her phone just to ask ChatGPT. She probably has ChatGPT, not ChatGPT, Gemini. She probably has Gemini in her phone and using the AI right there and there.
and can't do anything. In theory, could then a matriarchy exist?
So I could say that it would.
I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah. So I could say it's logically possible, but just so you know, when I say logically possible, Superman's logically possible, Wolverine's logically possible, all the X-Men are logically possible. I could say that this is logically possible that women could seize all the means of production, all weapons, and enslave men. Logically, there's no contradiction. The descriptor for reality, though, is that I would say descriptively in reality, it's impossible that women could never overpower men collectively, take over any means of production, nor begin to produce weapons ever and have any great effect if men didn't want them to. It's not even possible. I don't see how it's possible.
So your conclusion, though, is based off of this scenario that you are saying isn't possible, but you're saying it's logical. So,
yeah,
but I mean, I disagree. I think it is possible, though. Like,
but try to
that's
understand
an
the
opinion.
difference between logical possibility, which just means no contradiction.
Yes.
So almost anything's logically possible.
Yeah. Right. It just seems like
there's a world in which you're a man and a misogynistic man.
Sure.
That's logically possible.
Right. Yeah.
So
no, but,
so that doesn't tell us much, right?
But I'm saying, like, your force doctrine, though, like, you're saying, okay, so let's say I agree with the fact that force is necessary to keep a
necessary
society.
precondition, yeah.
Right. So let's say I agree.
Yeah.
But then your conclusion that you're drawing is that therefore so because of this, then men are the enforcers, right? Because they're physically bigger. Therefore, then men give us our rights.
Yeah, well, no.
Right.
I'll give it to you in this premise form. It would work like this.
Yes.
Women cannot collectively overpower men. Men can always collectively overpower women because the sexes need each other, literally need each other, cannot be disassociated. Otherwise, there's no humanity.
What the hell?
There'll always be a banking of an enforcement arm which protects women and men and children, and that will always have to go to men because men are the physically dominant sex. So if that's the case, it will always be the case. You have to appeal to men for the very rights in which you think you have, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that what follows, based off of what you're saying, makes sense. But I'm still going to always disagree with the fact that women, like your initial statement that women cannot overpower men with weapons. I think that would be.
Can you name a time it's ever happened in history?
No, that
collectively?
doesn't mean it can't. Just because something hasn't happened doesn't mean it can't.
Wolverine can't happen. Wolverine can happen.
Right,
Superman
but then
can happen.
We can go on with this forever, right?
No, but not really, because if we're talking about descriptive
He's so
reality,
rude. He's so
do you
good.
honestly believe that?
Yo, Andrew is so good with rebuttals, man. He's quick though. He's sharp. He's very sharp. We can't go forever with this. Now we can't. He's very good. Yeah, I know, Johnny, but I don't think he's a sugar guy. Johnny, I don't think it's sugar. I don't think it's sugar. I think she has a piercing in her right ear. I mean, not ear, a nose. In her right nose. She has like a piercing. It seems like that's her. She touching it. I don't think it's sugar.
You're only disagreeing with this because you just don't want to agree, right? Because you said, I agree that what you're saying, it makes sense.
I just fundamentally don't think this is like a very
That's because it refutes your entire worldview, because you'd have to say that you have to appeal to men for your rights.
I just literally have so many pages here of like things that I would rather be talking about. Like, I don't understand.
This kicks the pillar of your worldview out. Do you believe that you need to appeal to men for you to be safe
the question.
or not?
Do I need to appeal to men to be safe or not?
Yeah.
Currently in the patriarchal society, yes. Should we have
That's
to?
it.
Is it possible for us to not have
That's
to?
it. End of the debate. Right there. End of the debate. Because by admitting that you need to appeal to men, by admitting that you have to appeal to men, that means that your ideology will never, or could, but it's going to potentially lose, right, against men. So you need men to even protect it. So that means you're not equal to men.
Yes.
Then
But currently,
men do men protect you?
Not always.
Yeah, but mostly.
Unfortunately. Not even mostly.
Aren't they the ones who are, aren't they? Yes, mostly. I'm sorry, are most women dying?
Well, it just depends.
Are most women dying from violence? No, so they're mostly being protected from violence.
It depends on what you mean by like protect though from harm. Like there's just a lot of ways that women are harmed by men on a day-to-day basis.
Like you live in a nation in which you're granted massive amounts of rights. You're protected while you sleep. You can dial 911, have officers there almost immediately in most places.
But you're attributing all that to men?
They're the enforcement arm of all of those collectives, yes.
Right.
So like police officers, you would agree, vast majority male, right?
Yeah.
And that women tend to underperform in almost every standard because we lower standards for police officers so that women can be them, even though they don't actually perform very well against their male compatriots, do they?
Sure.
So if that's the case, then you're still appealing to men, aren't you?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't really want to.
Yeah, I know. You'll just concede just to concede.
I mean, fundamentally, I don't think this is very interesting.
It's kind of funny, right?
I mean, there's a reason this isn't taught in philosophy
It's like a man's
classes,
verbally assaulting you, just rolling over and taking it because you got.
I'm not taking it. I'm
you
here.
just roll it over.
I would actually prefer to leave.
You just went dead fish on me, right? Like a bear's attacking. You went dead fish because you just can't refute the arguments.
It's not about that. It's just about not being disrespected. If I feel like I'm being disrespected, I'm not
disrespecting you by asking you questions about your worldview.
No. You're just being, how do I say, very demanding and overbearing because it's actually.
I know. I listed
a lot of
I need
topics
you to answer my questions
that I would rather talk about, and we've been talking about your topic for 45 minutes, and I've barely even had an opportunity to steer with this conversation.
True, you're right, Johnny. She already said that she needs more men to come to her side. And Sims are still men, though. Yeah. And you know what's crazy? Those same men that would protect her ideology, females would not even be attracted to those men. Isn't that funny, man? Because they want to use them. They want to use them. That's what it is. They want to use them.
A bunch of topics that you brought. I brought one. Why can't we talk about mine too?
We are.
Oh, great. Then what's your complaint?
You're hiding a little behind the mic. Can you try to?
You don't know now what your complaint is? Did that argument not work very well? You brought 10 topics. I brought one. You don't want to talk about my one topic, but we should talk about your 10? Fantastic. Fine. We can move on, but unbelievable.
We will do a couple chats here, and then we'll get into our next topic then.
Right, bring in the chats. I'm going to go have a smoke.
All righty. Sounds
Maybe
good.
we should just, can you pause it, or should I stay here while he goes out? Can I take a break after him?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay,
We
cool.
can do that.
That's fine.
Okay, so we have Xerxes here, or actually,
Xerxes
maybe
donated
we should wait for Andrew on
$100.
these.
Hi Kylie, are you a communist or anti-capitalist? Can women be sexist towards men? Can minorities be racist towards white people? Is misogyny worse than misandry?
That is a great question. Yeah. Sorry, can I answer it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or, you know what? Why don't we do this? Just because maybe Andrew will want to weigh in.
Yeah,
on
he'll
your
probably
answer.
have things to say.
We'll wait.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Let's see.
Getting around host. Yeah. Andrew also, he pointed that out as well, yeah. And at that point, her worldview is slowly going down. You guys are crazy,
If any
man.
of these, here, I'll let this one come through because this one's kind of just general.
Red
I guess.
Fox donated $100.
Thank you,
Appeals
Red
to
Fox.
humanism, naturalism, theism, and relativism. What a mess. Your worldview is incoherent and destructive.
Yeah.
Your pretentious presentation is a turn-off. Bring on Mrs. Wilson. Not one step back.
Yeah.
Anything you want?
Yeah,
to
we
respond
have to,
there?
guys. If we cannot be sympathetic in these. Their ideology is so dangerous that you have kids, you have school teaching things that they should not be teaching because of this, man. And if you guys read some of the diaries of the founding father of the feminist movement, you will be surprised. They sound like a crazy woke lady or a fourth wave feminist. God, this is not an accident. This was well established by the late 19th century all the way to the 20th century. And the boomers ate it up. The boomers ate it up, man. And this is what we have here. The boomers ate it up. And here we are. Like, this is crazy. The reason is that we're not going to see ever a Ronald Reagan kind of situation where you see majority of the state voting red or whatever. It's because females have entered the chat to vote. That's what it is.
No, I just wasn't prepared on this subject, and it's an interesting topic. So I will learn more. I mean, I'm always open to learning more, so I will go do my research.
Got Jason Cassell. Thank you, Jason.
Jason Castle donated $100.
Thank you, man.
People sleep peaceably in their beds at night only because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf. This quote sums up reality, but you refuse to concede because you don't
100%.
like men. Dumb.
Yeah, I really, I do
She
believe
despises
that
them.
men are important figures in our society, and I admire a lot of the bravery of men. So if you want to call me stupid, whatever you want to call me, that's totally fine. But I never said that I hate men. I do believe that men are important, and I like men. I'm close to my dad. I have a partner who is a man right now, so yeah.
No,
All right.
She has a partner. Oh, yeah. Wow. Good way to elevate him. Good and an amazing way to elevate him.
And if you guys want to get your own message in, you can do so. Streamlabs.com/whatever. We're doing $100 TTS. We have Jordan Flores here. Hey, thank you, Jordan. Appreciate it.
Jordan Flores donated $100.
Thank you.
Can someone tell her that the restaurant kids menu crossword puzzle isn't an IQ test? Also, ironically enough, when she mentions quitting every 15 minutes, it proves Andrew's point.
There we go.
Yeah, Jordan, I'm not mentioning quitting. I'm genuinely trying to leave here because I do not enjoy this environment. It's very hostile. And I know that the restaurant menu is not an IQ test. That's kind of a funny joke though, but thank you.
We have some super chats here. Honest question.
Super
for the
passive
feminists.
aggressive,
How's
guys. Super passive aggressive.
feminism in any way about equality when every single policy and law it advocates for is literally a move away from equality? Even Charles Fourier, who coined the term feminism, was a
Not a huge fan of Reagan, guys. There's a couple things he did very good, but the no fault divorce was brought thanks to him, and also the migration situation was brought to him as well. So
staunch misandrist.
he was okay with the government spending, but
maybe a little typo
outside
there.
of that,
But do you
I
want to
don't know.
answer Manny's question here?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, that's an absolute, not every policy.
Yep, Johnny, you're right. Don't forget she's a woman and has still to face all women that she preaches this crap to. Yeah, she earned her living teaching feminism. Yeah, and how to debate toxic men. That's crazy. This is a big fail to her. Yeah, because even Andrew is not even toxic, bro. He's not even that toxic, man. He's not Myron Gaines level or Kevin Samuels level. He's not. He's just a regular dude that knows how to debate. That's it. Not putting him down because he's a smart dude. Don't get me wrong, he's a smart dude. But level of disrespect, it's not even close, man. Not even close.
Is about a move away from equality. Feminism has never been about female supremacy. It has been about the importance of creating equality between the sexes and creating protections from, for women in various areas, economic, political, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that answers your question, but.
All right. We have Andrew back here. Manny, thank you for that soup chat. We have 2 from Lucas here and 2 more. It looks like some on Streamlabs. Lucas, thank you, man. Honey, you don't want to go toe-to-toe on credentials and alphabet soup with me. I assure you, the alphabet soup is far more expansive than the law degree that Brian and Andrew might possibly be aware of. That, notwithstanding, as logician, rhetorician, and debater Andrew continued, is superior to me by order of magnitude. Rest assured, that piece of paper signifying your full-fledged years of imbecilic indoctrination is meaningless.
Damn, man, these
but
people
hey,
are going
how many
mad.
genders are there? Would love to hear your take on that. Do
Me
you
too.
want to respond to him on that, or Lucas on that?
Bathroom break. If you have
course.
anything to say, because remember I was gonna.
Yeah,
step
do you
out.
want to do a
Yeah,
quick response to Lucas?
Yes.
And then feel free to take a break.
Yeah, that's an interesting. That's an interesting question.
Yep.
I think that for me, I believe that sex is biological, so it's what's assigned at birth. So it's like male, female, and then gender. I think is really like open to interpretation, but like
Correct.
definitely, man, woman, trans man, trans woman, non-binary are the
Yeah, Andrew's a chill dude, man. He just meets you with the same energy that you give him. That's it.
ones that I really like, see pretty often. But there's room. I
Never.
mean, I just think it's very individual. So, but yeah, good question.
Okay, yeah, feel
I'll be
free to
back.
take your break. We'll read a couple chats here. All right, we've got, one sec, guys.
Look
we
at
have one
they're
sec.
looking
Where
at
is it?
Each other.
This one's
bro.
for you, Andrew. Chat for you. From USMC.
Using donated $100. Andrew, if you had some cleavage, maybe you could garner some soft feelings too. Also, M's dipstick is touching the right side of her nose when she wants to be fed an answer.
Oh, that is crazy. No way. That's some conspiracy theory. I don't know, man. Really?
USMC, thank you for your
Like, give me a
message
good
here.
answer.
We have-
Well,
Well,
kind of
the thing is like, it's not like you can't look up 1,000 different debates that I've done easily, right? And know that you're coming into a debate with somebody who definitely is going to press your worldview. I haven't even been mean. Like, it's just like, how is it that these women are such girl bosses, but at the same time, they're so fragile, they just break, It's like you barely even touch the surface, they just break. They just
Because they're not
crumble.
equal. They're not equal.
It's ridiculous.
They're not equal.
You know what? One sec. I want to put it on. I need to put it on intro for just a sec, guys. No, it's okay. I'll do it.
Oh. I think she came back.
Xerxes donated $100. Hi Kylie, are you a communist or anti-capitalist?
She had to answer
Can
this.
women be sexist towards men? Can minorities be racist towards white people? Is misogyny worse than misandry?
So there's like 4 there. Why don't we start with the first one? How
Sure.
do you how do you
Yeah.
categorize yourself, I guess?
I'm reluctant to use any label in terms of this, but I think that there are definitely cons to capitalism, but there are a lot of pros, like ingenuity and invention and creativity. So yeah, but I think that there's always room for improvement in a system. But no, I would never describe myself as a communist or anything like that.
Okay, and then there was the can women be sexist towards men?
Yeah, good question. I think that women can definitely have not like men and have a lot of maybe prejudice towards men. But I think just the term sexism generally refers to a systemic
It's
issue.
the same. Yeah, there we go. I was about to say that. It's the same argument towards Caucasians. The same one.
So how for decades and decades women
Crazy,
couldn't
man.
work in
Crazy.
certain fields, or they couldn't get a job. Women couldn't open a bank account until 1974. That's sexism because
Damn,
it's a
man.
systemic issue. So that's the way that I think of it. Obviously, I'm sure he has different opinions on that. But yeah.
Men, but you're not here to elevate women over men, even though
No, I would like for women to be
they
seen as
can't.
equal.
But they can't be sexist though. Only men because it's systemic.
There was one more, right?
Yes, but it seems like Andrew maybe wants to engage you on that. But here, yeah, we'll go. How about we'll go through all
Because I
of
feel like
them?
we might go for a while on that one.
Yeah, so we'll get back to it. But can minorities, so I guess like Black, Latino, whatever, can minorities be racist towards white people?
there's definitely a level of like maybe strong dislike or like maybe like prejudice towards white people, but I would say the same thing about like serious like racism is like systemic. Like there were laws to uphold it, like Jim Crow laws and a bunch of other laws to uphold even like the institution of slavery, which is really for like hundreds of years. And so because of that, the racism that is embedded into like our laws, whether on purpose or not on purpose, in the United States is systemic, and so that makes racism primarily that way.
So not believing what she's saying, guys.
Yeah, so I don't think
more of that
minorities can be racist to white people. I think it's prejudice, though. I think the terms are different. It's like you know what I mean. Like the hatred or the fear exists about certain groups, but the term is the way I explained it.
Okay, and then the final one was just: is misogyny worse than misandry?
Yeah, I would say so. And the reason why is because misogyny is built into laws and policies as well, versus misandry is just like a lot of the time is rooted in genuine fear. It doesn't make it, okay. But I think like it's better to, see people as they are. But I think misogyny is, again, more of like a deeply systemic issue. And a lot of violence, gender-based violence, is rooted in misogyny, which cannot necessarily be said for the other way around. Obviously, there's always exceptions to everything.
Got it. And then so, Andrew, there was can women be sexist towards men? Can minorities be racist towards white people?
So I categorically reject these definitions. These are what are called institutional definitions.
Yep.
What they are is they're definitions in order to reinforce a worldview rather than actually give descriptions for what is reality. So if we're talking about race, for instance, right, and racism, if you're talking about...
Look at that. Look what she's doing. Look at what she's doing, guys. She said what she had to say. Andrew's about to say something. And look at what she's doing. Again, it's just playing this game of virtual signaling and negative body language.
So if we're talking about race, for instance, right, and racism, if you're talking about more perceived racial groups, why couldn't minorities be racist towards the majority? Well, what academics do is they play this pretentious game where they're like, well, you have to have institutional power.
She's leaving, guys.
Well, that's also...
Hold on. Can you just... I hate to interrupt you, Andrew. Can you just... Can
Yes.
you repeat what you just said to me privately there?
Yes, I will be needing to leave at 6 p.m. So for anyone who is leaving or who is watching and not 6:30, because I have a lot of reasons, and one is that I have to drive 2 hours tonight in the dark. So I would like to leave at 6 p.m. and I'm making that known, and I hope that our agreement can be fulfilled.
But can you specify? I mean, you agreed to do
6:30.
6:30. That was the agreed upon.
Right. Yeah.
And you know what she says?
Again, asking me to continue to
that we agree upon, and it was 6:30. It's just so disingenuous, man. This is so bad, Faith. Even this in situation, she's trying to manipulate the situation itself, man. When she knows very well it's not in her favor. It's so manipulative.
Explain myself is a little bit tiring, but there's a lot of reasons. I mean, I have some health issues. Just sitting here for this prolonged period. I was not told, by the way, that this was going to be 3 hours. I thought it was going to be an hour max. So I agree.
You mentioned multiple times that even their shows were like 3 to 5 hours. You already mentally prepared for this. You're getting cooked. That's what's going on.
We didn't specify that it was going to be an hour max. So why would you assume?
I actually was very poor communication on your end. But anyways, I'm telling you that I will be leaving at 6.
Communication on your end, you're going to a show and didn't bother asking how long it was going to be?
No, I did when I got here, but I will be.
Wait. When you got here?
I'm leaving at 6. Okay, so we can have as much of a debate as we want.
Okay,
yeah, we understand.
And if that's not satisfactory, I will leave now. Like, I'm
race
just letting you know,
real,
this
guys.
is not an environment for me that I am
okay.
Oh my
enjoying.
God, you whine so much. You're such a whiner. You just whine and cry.
But yeah,
about
I'm just letting you know. I don't.
But what was the other thing you said?
I can't do a debate. He's going to ask me questions about my worldview I wasn't prepared for. I'm just here to teach and monologue, and I don't want. It's fucking ridiculous.
If I signed something about coming here.
She
about
agreed.
How in the hell?
To 6:30.
How in the hell she has a boyfriend? How? A partner, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it is. How, guys? How is this even possible? Are we in this level of simpness? Seriously, guys, this is, oh man.
Right in front of me. I like, and now she's retracting it. It's like, what is going on? I don't know.
And mind you, Andrew has just already done 2 debates. He did one on
He's
Friday
ready.
and
Flew
Thursday.
in also for my opponent.
And
Very kind to me.
that
You're
is kind.
welcome.
Thank
and
you.
Those debates,
I also don't live here. I flew in. I'm in Chicago, so.
right? Those debate. Wait, I'm a little confused.
That
You
makes sense why
flew
you got
in-
so.
I flew
So
in.
bad, man.
I have family that lives an hour away, so I spent, a little bit of time with them this morning, and then I'm going to see them again before I fly out tomorrow.
Well,
Oh,
okay,
see, we'll kind of
we'll discuss
lie.
that after the show. But if you looked at our channels and the length of our previous debates, the past 2 debates that we had were
Have gone
like 4
quite
or
long.
5 hours. And
Yeah.
So
I mean, again,
why would you have a different
I
assumption?
have health problems.
Yeah, but why
I
would
mean,
you
are
have
you
a
serious?
different
Like,
assumption?
are you fucking serious?
I'm fucking serious. Why would you have
I
a different
health
assumption?
issues.
Why? How would we know that?
I'm telling you now.
Of course, but don't you think that if you saw the last 2 episodes, they went 5 hours, why would you presume that yours was going to go less and that we would know you
Because I
had
have
health issues?
Because I'm telling you, I have
But when you
problems.
get to the show,
Oh my God. Wow.
You're-
Unreal.
this is an initial. This is a disclosure now.
Some
but
of this sign
look,
language
So we're
is
going to
crazy.
continue the conversation. But there was one other thing you said to me there in private.
she's like, you're fundamentally a dishonest person.
She is.
Like fundamentally dishonest. There's no reason for you to hold that presumption at all. On top of there being no reason for you to hold that presumption whatsoever, you get to the studio, then say you have health issues. It's like, yeah, it seems fundamentally dishonest.
Right. I mean, that's just kind of something that you don't want to disclose because it's a little embarrassing. But
Oh, okay.
Are you quiet?
look,
Strong
we're
woman.
not asking you-
Thought you were a strong
Look,
I
woman.
hope
You
you
go
guys
quiet.
have a really
Hold
good day.
on,
I'm
hold on,
leaving.
hold on there,
No.
Jay.
We're
We're
gonna
not
cry.
asking-
This is crazy, Joe. This is crazy. She had to do the tear
Hold on,
stuff.
hold
man.
on. We're not. Look,
I thought you were a strong
Kylie,
woman.
Kylie, do you want to just take like 3 minutes to gather? I mean,
This is
look,
so
you
bad.
agreed to.
I agreed to here, not stay for the entire.
Yeah, but that you can't do some technicality where, well, I showed up for 2 minutes and I'm just going to leave and
And that's it. All right?
get the benefits of. Look, Kylie, just take a 5-minute breather. You still there, Kylie? Look, do you want to take a 5-minute breather? Come back and we'll talk more. Okay. All right.
This is crazy.
Here, I'll do some chats. I'll read some chats.
Sure.
Let's see here.
This is
okay,
there you go.
there's a
This
lot.
is this was already built, guys. This was something that it was gonna happen. She knew it in the first 30 minutes that this was about to happen. She was looking for ways to make it less obvious. She knew right away that Andrew was not, is not the guy that you can play around. Okay, I cannot imagine you being in a relationship with her, guys. I can't. Yeah, right, Johnny.
And I think we were about to get into a really good segment there when it came to is misogyny worse than misandry? Can you be sexist towards men? Can women be sexist towards
This
men?
lady was bad,
So let's
bro.
do this. Here we got. Wait, Kylie. You. Okay, that's fine. All right. All right. So we have Red Fox here.
Red Fox donated $100. Brian, great job as a mod.
Yeah.
Andrew,
You have to give
I
it to
am
him.
sorry you have been putting in so much work and this is the quality of your opponents.
Yes.
Glad your family is safe. Not one step back.
Look.
Bring on the blood sport.
And for those of you, I know there's probably a few of you in chat who are like, how could he do that? Well, here's the thing, right? It's like, I've been engaging in good faith, engaging in a typical debate. They're, you know what I mean? And the whole time it's been all about tone and Andrew's bad and this and then it's like, and then we get to it. She lied through her teeth. She agreed to 6:30 before the cameras rolled. I'm telling you, she not only agreed to it.
You have to record that.
Basically.
This is crazy, but you might have to be in a position where you need to even record the pre-shows, guys. You have to. Because this is what happened. They just manipulate the situation. There's not even an ounce of guilt admitting they were wrong. It's crazy.
I mean, they discussed it, and she was like, yeah, 6:30. Then she changes her mind, right? And then kind of was very
Crazy,
dishonest about the reasoning behind it. And, there's a form of female manipulation which happens when they're like, I don't want to disclose any health issues because
Yeah.
it could be embarrassing. It's like, well, then why did you agree to the show?
We didn't ask about the
It's
health issues,
no, but of course not. It's all fundamentally dishonest, and so it's like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to look at her when they turn on the waterworks when it's clearly manipulation and be like, oh, okay then, yeah, fuck that. Fuck that. I've had 2 really good faith interlocutors we've gone back and forth with. I don't hold any ill will towards them, but it's like, you came to do the debate. I flew out here to do the debate. Do the fucking debate. Stop. You know what I mean? Just do the debate.
Yeah. And I think we've been probably very, I don't know if charitable.
Very
is the
charitable.
right
No,
word,
charitable.
but,
Yeah, charitable, of course. Very.
Almost.
Very bad.
Bent
Bent
over
backwards,
backwards.
upside down.
Super annoying.
Really at the beginning, she was trying to dictate terms. And look, to the audience, I know you guys didn't like that I was trying to kind of placate things a little bit, but like I was telling Andrew, just
It was a business
furtherance
move.
of ensuring that the debate actually happens. If you got to, walk back an inch, to be able to make it further, then so be it. But let me do these super chats while they come through. Yo, Gerald, appreciate it. Coastal Operator, thank for the membership. Okay, JJ Mad, thank you for that message.
I have to move forward because I have to just finish the live in a couple of minutes. Let me just go here, right here.
Firm and literally I'm public about it. I'm like, I just don't want to hire women because
Look at her, bro. Look at her. Look at her. She's defeated, guys. Just defeated.
I'm like, I just don't
Look
want
at
to
that.
hire women because I don't really like them.
Literally
that much.
crying face and everything, like, bro.
If I just said that, like, outright, I just don't really
She's
like them that
defeated,
much,
bro.
and I just don't want to work with them. And
That's
it's my
how you do it,
company. I
man.
fucking own it. I built it. I invented everything. What
Look
is
at that.
actually the problem with that? Why can't I just do that? Why do you want to? Why do you want to like infringe on my choices?
It's like the 1964 Civil Rights Act is probably going to be a problem for you. I'm
well,
not
do you know what freedom of association is?
freedom to associate with who you want.
Yeah. Do you think that that's an inherent right?
I think for corporations,
God,
corporations aren't people. So I don't.
Corporations are people. What else would they be?
They shouldn't be people. I think that's where we disagree because in some cases the Supreme Court has upheld that the corporations have the same rights of people. So if you own a company and you're religious, then you don't have to pay for reproductive services or birth control.
And
right?
what else would you couldn't classify them as anything but people? People are the things which run corporations. Corporations are people.
I disagree. I think that corporations are entities. They are run by people, but I think that they should be held to a different standard
Is there
than
any
people.
conscious entity that you can think of that talks and can speak like you and me and make decisions like you and me that's not people?
Yeah, sure. No.
No. So that, if that's the
Right.
case, they're making the same types of decisions that you and I are making.
But-
Why wouldn't
so
they
you
be
think-
assumed to be people?
This is a waste of time, man.
Have different
This is a waste of time.
way
at this
standards
point.
of operation. They have laws they have to follow that are different from people. In terms of the government's eyes, I believe it should be considered not a person. I think it's fundamentally the way that it operates is different. It's not one, it's like a conglomerate of things and people who work in a company. So
So I don't have a corporation, let's say then, and I have a private business practice
See, she have a piercing.
Right.
where I'm a
That's what she has.
landscaper. And there's a woman
Yeah,
who
they
comes
go with
in,
the phone
she's got
again. Yeah, they go with the phone. There you go with the phone again.
qualified for the job, and there's a man who comes in who's slightly less qualified for the job, but I just kind of want to hire him anyway because I just don't really like women. Why is that not something I should have the freedom
She's
to choose for
defeated,
myself?
man.
Why?
Defeated.
I just think we're operating at a different moral capacity. A lot of my things that I say are rooted in morals, and you're making yours vote in sort of laws.
I'm asking you for the moral argument.
I'm telling you that I believe it's wrong to make someone feel ashamed and not hire somebody and give them different outcome based off of their race or sex or
But you
sexuality.
don't believe it's wrong to tell people that they must do a thing they don't want to do.
Not at all. No, I don't. Because
So then it's not about choice, then, is it?
I suppose if you want to make the argument you're making right now.
Then it's not
She
really
gave me the
about
signal.
choice. Okay,
Call
so
me.
the second pillar of feminism.
You're like, yeah, call me. Right, yeah. I think some of you guys were right. I think this is her giving signals and stuff
Right.
like that.
You just
True.
Touching her
debunked
nose.
it
It's-
so
yeah, it's-
fast.
it's
just
probably,
like that.
I don't know.
It's pretty
so
false.
easy
Yeah, it's
for
pretty
you.
false. You just said it's not really about choice. It's
Sure.
really about an agenda, right? What was the third pillar of feminism?
Well, I think we're getting close to the end. Is this what we want to talk about for the last, few minutes?
Well, we have another 30 minutes.
I think they offer her money to
Sure.
stay,
It's
and she couldn't even stay, bro.
5:59 right now.
They offer her
All right,
money.
well, I
They
might
couldn't
just have to
stay.
take another break
She
because I'm
couldn't
not
stay.
feeling so hot. Is that all right?
Let her go, man.
But I'll tell you what I would like to talk about next, though.
Well, one
Let
thing
her
here,
go, bro.
I think it would be fair.
I just told you I have medical issues, though. Like, I genuinely
All
need
right.
to take a break.
All right.
Hold on. I'm fine with you taking the breaks.
Okay.
But given the frequency and the duration of said breaks, I think it's reasonable to ask for an additional 10, 15 minutes to make up for the breaks that have.
Let me see here, right?
And stuff like that, so.
Oh, this is so good. This
This
is
girl
so
over
good.
here.
Man, I might be burning in hell because of this, guys. I don't know.
Me, so, but
Yeah.
I've had someone in my comments offer to pay me the amount that I was paid to be here, so I'm gonna go because I have medical problems. I'm not feeling good.
What if somebody in our chat offers to pay you?
More.
Yeah, this is crazy, bro.
Do you think they would?
Well, they would pay me, and then
Yo.
Yes,
They
if
would.
someone offered, I would stay and I would cry on
my
camera.
God, bro.
But I don't
This,
know if they
is
would.
this is
So
why we have
bad.
the wage gap. This is literally why we have the wage gap, ladies and gentlemen.
But I highly
Andrew is fine. She's okay, no, like she's already gone, guys. She's already gone.
doubt that someone will offer that.
I wonder. So they're offering you.
They're offering me 50.
So if you stay for another 2 hours, what would that cost?
Oh my God.
Like $500
No. My God. More.
on top.
Like, probably double.
Oh my God.
Double
500 or so,
the
1,000.
original. Okay, double the original. So I think we would need in order. Would you actually, if it was doubled, would
If
you?
it was actually doubled,
Yeah,
I
basically.
would stay because again,
Yo, basically, her money. You know, you can buy her help, I guess. That's crazy.
like I do have a problem.
Crazy, man.
So I could probably stay a little longer.
2 hours.
I would just have to
2
take
hours
breaks.
beyond. So we're talking 8:30.
Sure. Then I would need like.
This
triple,
is crazy,
'cause
bro.
I like.
Troy,
Triple?
You're a tough negotiator, Kylie. You're a tough negotiator.
Nah.
Again,
You
I
know,
like.
this girl
It's a
over
wrap.
there, tough negotiator.
I
wrap.
generally do have issues though. Like I'm not. That's not a lie. So I just don't like to talk about it. But I
Yeah.
have a hard time.
Yeah, Johnny. Yeah, as soon as they mentioned money, she was like, oh, really more? Yeah, pure cope, yeah.
Like I could like.
Yeah, what is the
headaches
issue
and-
anyway?
I don't really like to talk about it, but
Oh my
I've
God,
had,
this is
like
so cringy, bro.
concussions,
So crazy, man.
and stuff like that. So
Concussions?
It's like a brain- like a-
TBI.
yeah. I mean, traumatic brain injury. Yeah, it was a traumatic. It's like I get like really bad headaches and like
Do you want? We have like
Difficulty breathing.
Tylenol or ibuprofen. We could give
Why are you guys trolling her, bro? Of course, somebody's
I don't really
calling
want to
her.
go too much into it.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I have to go.
But
Yeah, I
I
have
have
to
had
go.
someone offer me, but I just don't think this is a good environment. So I think I'll just take the offer that the person has given me of the original amount, and I'm just gonna head out. I think. So.
So
Yeah.
basically, somebody offer her more money to just leave the studio, so her time is more. Oh God, this is crazy stuff, man. This is crazy.
I think my health is more important than whatever you've offered me, which is not much. So
I mean, I don't think it's fair. You know, we've been very generous here at the Whatever podcast. I don't know if that's a fair categorization. So you said the double. So if somebody
No, I don't think that's even the case. You've been very nice. I think she came here to just, she thought it was going to be the same as TikTok. She thought that by overpowering, putting her will over the debaters and the moderator, she thought she was going to own it. That was the setup call, yeah. I don't even think it was a call. I think it was a timer. That sounds more like a timer.
does essentially, somebody want to
Yeah,
send in like,
maybe.
an Ethereum.
and
I'll-
again, like this isn't really my network, so I don't think anyone's gonna offer it. So, but I guess nothing is impossible.
Yeah.
Are
You're
there
putting a
any
little bit
takers
of
in the
guilt,
chat
you know
who
what I'm
wanna
saying?
See this? Wait,
Oh
let me
my
ask the
God.
chat. Why don't I pull the chat? Chat. Does anybody want another 2?
No.
2 hours on top of like 8:40 Pacific time. Is it standard time or? Pacific
think,
Standard?
yeah.
Is it standard time or is it daylight?
All
That's
right.
standard.
I know how we can raise the money. So here on my notepad, right down here, okay, we're going to play Hangman. I'll play Hangman chat. We're going to play, okay, yeah, we're going to play chat Hangman. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to play chat Hangman. It's only 4 letters. That's it. You send in $100. It gives you the letter. I'll put in the letter, but we got to do it quick, okay? And then I'm going to rule them out. We'll play chat Hangman. That's how we'll raise the shit.
Man, I remember playing that.
Tell me, you got a better idea? You got nothing. All right, let's do chat Hangman.
I'm going.
Let's do a crystal pop.
A crystal pop.
We got Ogle
You
in
guys,
the chat.
you guys have been lovely, but I really
right,
like
yo,
again,
get
I
outta
need
here.
to leave. Like I'm not
Get
feeling
out of
good.
here. Nah.
But
Do you?
I appreciate the debate. It was
you wanna
interesting
do a-
and fun.
Uh-huh.
but-
Want to give a
Interesting.
closing statement?
Yeah, it was so interesting. Like meaning, like I got destroyed.
My closing statement is that I love to learn and to meet new people, and
She's
I
reading the
wasn't
comment.
putting my medical-
Yeah. She's reading the comment, bro. This is if she's in much pain, it's best to let her recover, guys. Get well soon. Yeah.
meet new people.
So if she has a medical issue, boys, willing to put said medical issue aside for money? Yeah, look at that.
And I wasn't putting my medical issue aside for money. I didn't know how long this was going to be. That was my fault, I will admit. But I appreciate like learning new perspectives. I was hoping this would be a
Yo, that chat is crazy. Yo, that whatever chat is crazy,
more
man.
calm and demure experience because I've been trying to be more, about facts and
I guess
negotiating.
so.
But I appreciate the time that I've had
She got
here.
destroyed, Johnny.
And I'm
She got destroyed.
looking forward to learning more about you both. So
Wait, what does that mean?
I mean like learning more about like I knew about your network before coming in. I had seen some videos, but
Okay.
now
Mm-hmm.
I'm more interested in like you guys.
Yeah. So, what about this?
Yo, this is crazy.
We'll
stuff,
double. We'll double, but we add 2 hours on top. So that's
It's like
we'll double it. I'm not going to ask the audience.
Right.
We'll double it. Whatever podcast, we'll double it.
right. But
You stay.
if I didn't have an actual issue, I would stay for the money. Like if that makes
Exactly.
sense. But I
Yeah.
like have to go, so I'm gonna go. Like it's not like
She
a money
realized-
thing
Are you
anymore.
willing to
She
stay?
realized that she looked bad, and now she has to go. You see what I'm saying? She realized that the money situation was not a
Stay
good
for
play.
Andrew's closing statement and a few chats.
Yeah,
right.
I will
seems
stay
fair.
for that.
Here,
but
wait,
can we make it
before-
5 minutes?
Okay, 10 minutes. That's fair. That seems fair.
I mean I literally just
Here, we got Leonidas. Here, listen to Leonidas. Then
There you
Andrew
go,
give his
bro.
Closing statement.
Leonidas donated $100.
There you go.
Highly curious age of kids you teach. Also, what is a woman? Also, are women as a group oppressed in the
Nah,
USA?
she already know.
Okay.
If so, how?
That's a lot.
Are you
Here, we'll
as a
rapid
woman
fire it.
oppressed? If so,
Yeah,
how?
she's not ready
And
for that.
Are men as a group oppressed?
And you said you're an educator. Are you teaching?
Yeah.
Like, are you
I'm a
tutoring?
I'm a
or-
private tutor and I'm also a
Yeah, that's
substitute
great.
teacher and I teach
Yeah, I
in-
would love to stay for the chat, but I've been streaming for 3 hours, so I had to just let it go. But
3
I can
primary high
imagine.
schools in Chicago. Yeah,
So you teach like elementary school kids?
no, high school.
Oh, high school. Okay. He asked, "What is a woman?" Quick answer if you can.
I think a woman is someone who is, I mean, it depends. Like biologically female is different from being a woman, but someone who's a
yeah,
woman
it's all women are the only one having that problem, bro. I'm telling you, they just like their own demise. Like they like everything to be woman, I guess.
is someone who's characteristically a person who, associates themselves with femininity, and that is open to interpretation of who wants to identify as one.
If I may just ask one clarifying question, can a female become a male, or can a male become a female?
Like biologically speaking, I believe the sexes of male and female, but I think if a person wants to be a woman or a man, absolutely, yeah.
And then, are women as a group oppressed in the USA? Your answer?
I think it's possible, but I really need to leave.
May I just at least
Ah,
stay
this is
for Andrew's
so
close?
bad, bro.
No, I don't.
Look, we're not kidnapping you. I'm just asking if you can at least
You
stay.
have to clarify you're not kidding. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
it's
you
okay.
you said you could stay 5 minutes. Come on.
I'm leaving.
Ryan.
No, I'm going. But I hope you guys have a good day. Thank you.
Yeah, let her go, bro. Look at Andrew.
Are you oppressed?
Ryan is trolling her so bad.
Do you want to just
She
answer
got
that?
red
You don't need
so
to say
bad.
into the mic. Just yell it out, maybe.
my
Oh
closing
God,
statement.
I win.
But for champagne pop,
Wow.
for champagne pop,
Yeah,
you guys were
shout out to Andrew, bro. My bad. He really did kill it, man. He really did kill it. 1 second. This thing is a little wonky. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Yeah, he destroyed her. He destroyed her. Yep. I'm gonna end this live. Thank you so much, guys, for staying, man. Thank you so much, guys, for the support. I'm gonna do another live next week. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. If you guys haven't even subscribed to the channel, do so. Do so. Thank you so much for the back and forth in the chat. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I will see you around. I will see you next week, guys. Bye bye.